Okay, I see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, baby D. Hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. All right, guys, what is going on these TikTok streets with this cider case? Hey, Juju from Wisconsin. Thank you, baby D. Thank you so much for the heart me. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Juju. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, baby D. Hello, Christine in Alaska. Hello, hello. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, guys, for the heart me's. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Wendy. Yes, thank you, guys. Do me a favor, repost and share this out. All right, y'all. We need to have a talk, okay, with the Siders case. Man, what is happening? Okay? The emotions are running wild. This case is so hard because it involves children and abuse, all right? And I know that it's difficult for people to be able to take the emotions out of it, but y'all, I mean a little bit, because it's absolute, the stuff that I'm seeing and the situations, people are creating situations that may not exist. Like, I've never, man, I don't know what's happened to true crime lately, but it's absolutely wild, okay? Number one, people get emotional, too emotional, and then their thought process goes out the window. They can't look at this objectively and see, everybody wants to think that, you know, there's a reason for this, that this situation with the Siders case and the Siders children, you know, that there's a reason for it. The problem is sometimes there isn't, right? Hey, Sam.
Hey,
Are you seeing the emotion in this case just making people like
I've
lose
been
it?
getting somewhat attacked for having a differing opinion, not disagreeing, but wanting to just maybe wait out how I feel it's going to go to really give my final thoughts on
Like see some evidence?
Elizabeth. What?
Like seeing some evidence?
Yes, and I've even been attacked about posting the home and, you know, I'm just as bad
You
as
were
the people that
you
went
were
in there,
attacked
and
for
I'm like,
posting the home. You
yeah.
think that they're not going to post the home as soon as mainstream media gets it? You think that the court isn't going to post the home? That these lawyers aren't going to bring that out?
Well, they're saying, oh, there's still, it's an active crime scene. Well, the police said it's if you don't have permission from the owner, you can't go in. So I believe
Right,
they possibly gave it back to uh, the trust it's in.
right. But I mean, what does that have to do with us? Did you go to the house? I didn't go to the house. Did you go to the
No,
house?
no, and it's already public, so now it is. It ain't my
Nick,
fault.
it's the nonsense for me. It's the nonsense for me. Um, that really frustrates me. It's people trying to make a bigger deal. Listen, it's out there. Were people not supposed to look at it, comment on it? I mean, make it make sense to me. I'm sorry. No, they didn't. Hey, nobody got caught. I think people are just going in there and looking around, and they're curious, right? And it is what it is. Now, I don't condone anybody breaking into anybody's house, but if somebody sends me a video of the inside of the house, I'm sure as hell damn going to look at it and share it. Like, it is what it is. You can judge me for that. Quite frankly, it doesn't even matter. It's just wild to me. The stories that I'm seeing and the thing, I need people, like, everybody wants Elizabeth to be this victim. And I'm not saying she's not. Okay? I'm not saying Elizabeth isn't a victim. What I'm saying is, what makes her, couldn't Gary Jr. be a victim? And I'm not saying I believe this, but I'm going to put this out there for y'all. Pregnancies back to back to back. You get hormonal. Anybody have a pregnancy and get a little nasty?
Oh yeah, I was really mean. I was really mean to people. Like the first pregnancy, Chris is probably glad he was gone. The second one, sorry. I cussed my boss out and lost my job. My second
hormones one. And the, it's real. Okay. How do you know Gary Jr. wasn't a victim of Elizabeth? Does anybody know that he wasn't a victim of her pregnancy hormones and her?
And we're not saying he is
maybe
a victim.
I'm not saying that I think that's what the story is. I'm just saying, can anyone say that he isn't? I understand people don't want to accept that maybe, you know what I mean, this really was just neglect. That situations got so overwhelming. But to create situations doesn't do this situation any justice, because if she really did know it was neglect, guys, or she just wasn't doing anything, then you want that to be known. I agree with you, Lisa.
Here's a question I have for the people that are like, well, I was in the same situation, you don't understand. I want to start asking them, would you let your home get like that and your children live in that condition? And they say no. So what's the difference then?
That's what I'm saying. People are creating the situations where she just became a victim of domestic violence and she was chained to beds and he was forcing her to get pregnant and have babies. Do we know this? Do we know that woman just didn't decide that she wanted that many children? For those of you who are saying that that's not a thing, I chose to have multiple pregnancies back to back. I enjoyed parenting. I enjoyed my children. And that was a decision that I made. So can we, as a matter of fact, say that she didn't just want to have a lot of kids? Now, again, what doesn't make sense to me is why would you neglect them if you were to have them? Now, is it possible that there was a lot of mental illness going on in this house that went unnoticed? And we don't know. Everyone wants to sit there and just, I don't know if it's the mom thing. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to think a mother can do that to her children. And so we're looking for some kind of justification for it, or some kind of explanation on why a mother would do this to her children. But first of all, are we forgetting fathers? Fathers love their children, and there's a biological connection to the father as well. You can't just assume because she's the mom and she wouldn't do this, that automatically Gary Jr. tied her up, forced her to get pregnant. I think that we have to be really careful. We don't know anything, really. We don't know much of anything. But as I'm sitting here and I'm like you guys, right? We're scrolling, we're doom scrolling, we're watching the lives, and I'm just hearing these stories that are people want to relate to the situations. I'm a domestic violence, I was an abusee of domestic violence. I was a victim of domestic violence. So automatically I'm seeing, what I can relate to. And now I'm going to tell you that Elizabeth was absolutely a victim of domestic violence. Where is that? Can somebody show me that she's any more a victim than Gary? Like, as much as I want the explanation to be a mother wouldn't do that, when you look at it objectively, for people, trust me, I know how it works with domestic violence cases, and I'm seeing this, and she absolutely was a victim. Now, I do agree with she was a victim of someone who's definitely thrown into adulthood way too early, right? But can she be a victim of that, but not necessarily be a victim of Gary? Couldn't Gary be a victim? Maybe they both were victims. I keep seeing a lot of people talking about how both Gary and Elizabeth were uneducated or lacked education. Well, couldn't they both just be victims of a lack of education and lack of knowledge and a lack of life experience, and then you're bringing these kids into the world?
And I want people to understand this too. In a trial, they will look at your lack of education because they look at it as they don't know better. They can't, the comprehension level of of things because they only have an 8th grade education. They do look at that. So Gary only going to the 8th grade, like Ivory's saying, he could not know better just as well as she. And I'm not defending him, but the courts will look at that. Not because we feel something. They will also look at, she has stated, this is what the prosecution, I can guarantee, is going to say. Her and Gary had love each other and they wanted a large family.
They've said it.
Yes.
They've said it. Now, does that mean that they were responsible in their choices? No. You know what I mean? My whole thing is we can't create situations. I don't disagree with the gag order that Gary put out, and I'm going to tell you why. You all have seen it, especially lately with the heightened social media and these crimes and these viral crime scenes coming out and like these different cases, right? We've all seen it. We really do have a say in how this plays out. We shouldn't, but public opinion really does play a big part in it. And when I tell you that I've been seeing everybody coming out and putting a halo on this girl and talking about how she was beat by him and chained by him and he forced her, I would want a gag order too. I want the ability to be able to plead my case without everybody out there, as viral as this case is, talking about he was abusing her. Now you're talking physical abuse. You're talking, it's just, can they have a fair trial with all of these stories out there? And I'm going to call them stories because I've seen nothing backed up with any kind of proof. Nothing.
Yeah, and that's where I'm kind of going at with the education too. Just because they only have they didn't graduate high school or does not mean that they are slow, or does not mean that they don't know better. My father-in-law has 7th grade education. He owned a business for over 50 years and supported his family on his 7th grade education. And my mother-in-law was married at 15 years old and had a baby, and all of her kids were taken care of, and all of her grandchildren, she had to take care of 4 of them, were taken care of, bathed, cleaned, schooling, food. So at some point, no, she didn't have 16 kids, but at some point there is going to have to be consequences for actions regardless of circumstances.
Yeah. I feel like, the misinformation being put out there is just driving me nuts. And it's like, I need people to really, really think about it because people have been hitting me with all of these scenarios, but I'm like, show me that happened. Show me it happened. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I just did a video, and I think that the person whose comment I used to do the video got a little bit upset. And I really was just bouncing off her comment to bring up a situation. However, I think she got a little bit offended, and it was no mean, I'm not trying to offend anybody. My whole thing is everyone keeps saying, and I'm going to tell you what I keep hearing. Why didn't the hospital call CPS? Well, why would they? Somebody tell me why the hospital would call CPS. Anybody? Guys in the chat, tell me why you assume that the hospital should call CPS. Because everyone's like, why didn't the hospital just call CPS? How did they drop the ball? But did they? Because there was no crime committed to have multiple back-to-back pregnancies. There's no crime there. A woman can have as many children as she wants to have. There is no crime there for them to have reported. Now, what I will say is, if they saw some red flags, they had to report them, right? But what were the red flags that people assume they dropped the ball and didn't see? We see a dirty environment now, but do you know that they went to the hospital and she didn't shower before she went to give birth? And let's be real, how many of us took that last shower before we went in the hospital to have that baby? I know I did. I'm making sure that
I'm shaved.
Because yes, right? Like, I was in serious active labor, and my husband's like, just go. I'm like, I am cleaning first, just because, right? Like we just want to present. You mean to tell me that Elizabeth thought differently? She went in like, come on, guys. Like I just need. I was shaving my legs at 6 centimeters.
Yeah.
Main chick, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you think that she didn't think like the rest of us. Like, is she slept? Like, I'm sure that she showered before she went into that
What
hospital.
was the
Now,
cleanest thing in that house? And what did they have? They had running water and they had a tub. Right?
so what would be the red flags that a hospital would pick up on? Too many children. A doctor will never tell you you're having too many children unless it is a medical necessity to say it. I am sure that my obstetrician was like, all right, come on, Ivory. This is like, we're on baby number, pregnancy number. Like, man, you haven't had enough. I'm sure he wanted to say that, but they wouldn't dare. It's illegal. You can't judge me. You can't question me. You can't say it's a red flag. Somebody call CPS. This woman's got 10 kids. Too many. Too many. I think 4 is enough.
And it's not illegal to be poor.
It's not illegal. It's not a crime.
It's not a crime to
Okay.
be poor.
Now, people are saying that, well, didn't they see the red flags that these people may be poverty stricken? Let me tell you something. If I walked into somebody in the hospital and said, hey, you know what? You're giving off a little poor. Do you need services? What if they weren't poor? I can't just, that's not, you have to ask. You know what I mean? Like if she's not asking for help and she's not saying, this is baby number 16, but I may not, I don't know if I can afford it. Well, then how the hell are they supposed to know? They're just supposed to be like, they can't just go report things because they assume that's illegal. That's illegal. So, you know what I mean? Like I need people to really think about what they're saying. Well, they should have known and picked up the signs that there was abuse and she didn't want to have those children. What? You think she walked in there going, oh, my husband got me pregnant on, I didn't want the baby, he did. And no, that's a red flag. I can assure you that would be reported.
This is what they asked me back in 2024 when I had my last baby. Do you have a car seat? Yeah. Are you safe at home? And does the baby have a bed? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. And that was it. Yeah. That was it.
Yep. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if she said yes to those, then what were they supposed to do? I agree. No. Apple user, I'm not trying to take away from, we didn't even get to the house yet. I'm just saying, whose responsibility was it? It was their own responsibility. I know that it wasn't, the hospital it was not their responsibility to make sure that this woman who gave birth had the means to take care of the child. It's her responsibility to say something if she doesn't. Right? Like, I mean, come on. However, I will say this. Do I believe that authorities and services dropped the ball on those children? Yes, because the Attorney General came out barking like these kids were undocumented. We didn't know she had children. Nobody knew she had them. Then all of a sudden you come and find out they got birth certificates, death certificates. They were born in a hospital. They went to school and had truancy reports. Like, then all of a sudden this starts coming out. Well, then who dropped the ball? School dropped the ball, right? They dropped the ball. How are kids and you're saying that they couldn't be found. However, did you try to look for them? You know what I mean? Like, and everyone's acting like they bounced from house to house to house. Listen, I come up from up in the city. Like, I bounced around a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I moved a lot in my life. So, hold on, guys, 1 second. I think someone's at my door. Sam, take over 1 second.
All right, so you all don't also know how poor that area is and how everyone looks like them. Right, so the hospital, like, may be used to seeing people like that, and they have rights. They have their amendment rights to have the children and things like that. Now, that is why we're stating Elizabeth, yes, she is a victim in a sense, but those children are more of a victim And, you know, she's also a perpetrator. You can be both at the same time.
Yeah.
And people are spinning the narrative and putting it all on one, when each and every one of them, even Senior, in my opinion, as well, played a part. Even the family member that would come over and has recent photos played a part. Those children come first with protecting. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot, being poor does not mean you're filthy with bugs and bug bites all over your kids and poop on the floor and feces and everything. You can live in a house that, you know, is not nice and old or run down, but it does not mean you have to have filth. It's one thing to have toys all over and, you know, maybe some dishes in the sink. It's another thing how they were living. They didn't even have a stove or an oven working.
They had literal dirty diapers and poop on the floor. There's no excuse for that. I'm sorry, there just isn't. And my whole thing is, all right, so now we're going to run with a scenario. Everyone keeps saying, how many have heard in the chat that Christina Siders, the mother, right, the grandmother, was the one who ran the whole racket? How many of us have heard that? She was the mastermind behind everything. We've all heard that, right? You heard that, Sam? I've heard that. You guys in the chat, we all heard that, right?
Yeah.
At some point or another, we heard she was the mastermind. Well, what kind of mastermind is she? What did she accomplish? What mastermind? What was she running? What racketeering was she running? What was she, a mastermind of what? Shit on the floor? Like, I don't understand. Like, it doesn't make sense that she was the mastermind, but what is the mastermind behind everything? What is the everything? She was the mastermind behind the dirt? Same thing with, you know what I mean? Same thing with Gary. Like, he was the abusive one. He was, you know, they were terrified of him. So if he was so abusive, don't you think his house would be cleaner? Like, I don't want to live in filth, get this clean? You kids, you wife, get it clean? Like, you think Gary was in charge of everything. Well, what was he in charge of? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
And again, you can have an opinion, but you cannot use that as complete and utter fact, because that takes away from the actual case where, and in opening eyes and in seeing that actions have consequences. When somebody states, I'm a DV survivor, and, you know, there's manipulation. Yes, absolutely. But when I ask a question, would you let your children live in that type of environment? No.
Right.
Every single time, no. So, is it really? Yeah, it could be an excuse, but there's also consequences to actions, unfortunately. Whether it's fair or not, there's consequences.
Yeah.
And they all played a part.
Yeah. I don't know that I believe that he was running some abusive house where he was like, make sure the diapers are on the floor, shit full, make sure, like, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying they weren't abusive, because obviously they both were, but I don't believe he was running some abusive ring where he was like, I want this house to stay filthy. It doesn't, come on, guys. You know what I mean? I think that mental health played a big part in it. I really do. But if mental health played a part in it, then you got to understand it's possible it played a part in it for both of them. Right? Like, why is it that is it because she's a woman? Why are we running so hard to defend her for being poor and for being, you know, abused, for being, but no, you gotta run, you gotta do what's right for, if you're gonna say that about her, you can say it about him. He was 18 and it was okay for him to have a wife and have a child and be put out into the world as 18. Like, come on, 18 years old, barely 18.
Here's my other
of the same thing she is.
Yeah. Yep. And here's my other thing too is, oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, Elizabeth, she stated they had a good relationship and they wanted a large family. Whether that's true or not, are you going to diminish what she's trying to say? You can't put in, oh, she definitely was, because she's not saying she was a victim.
Right.
Now, do I think defense
Right.
will spin it that way to say, like, hey, you got to get out of this. And this is how we got to do it, because that's their job. But at the end of the day, are you diminishing what she's saying? And it could very well be mental health playing the part.
I really do. I really believe mental health played a big part in it. I believe a lack of education played a big part in it. I was talking to somebody about this whole thing, and the person was like, like, I don't understand. There's so many services out there. Like, there's so many things you could have done. Like, but if you don't know about them and you don't have the ability to think on that kind of level, the level that those of us who have been educated, right, and have an understanding of how life works and how things work and how services work and how this works, a lot of us have that intelligence where we can be like, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but some people may not. And I think that a lack of education plays a part in it. Do I believe poverty plays a part in why that house ended up like that? No. No. I'm sorry, I don't. I think that they were under an obligation to ask for help. They didn't. I think that the fact that, first of all, your children would have been fed twice a day if you would have went to school. If they would have went to school. Like, it would have been easier on you to keep the house clean, and they would have been fed twice a day if you just sent them to school. And I don't think, again, I think a lot of that is laziness too. Like, I mean, depression runs rampant in this country. How many people have had bouts of depression? I'll be the first
I
one.
do. I take medication for it. I had
Does your house
postpartum
look like
depression
complete
too.
utter filth because you are struggling with something? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I may get to the point where I don't do a dish, but I don't even know if I could do that, man. I'm one of those people, like, I don't care. You know what I mean? But no, I think intellectual disabilities played a part in it. However, I do believe how do you say laziness didn't play a part in it? That was absolutely laziness. What was stopping them from getting up and sweeping the floor? What was stopping them from using one of those crates to put the garbage into? Picking it up off the floor? What was stopping them from taking all the stuff that they hoarded in that room and throwing it out to the curb? And even pregnant, listen, I cleaned pregnant, I worked pregnant, I did all the things while I was pregnant. There's just no excuse that house was in that condition.
In using, some Derek, I think, just said, well, Stockholm syndrome and postpartum depression for all four of them. They all four had that.
If you're going to say that she suffered from postpartum depression, can't you say the same for Gary then? Male postpartum depression is a thing. It is absolutely a thing. I need people to understand that. Men can go through postpartum depression. In fact, mine did. So it's a thing. So then what you're saying for her, can't the same be said for Gary Jr.? Gary Jr. probably didn't allow her to work. What makes you say that, Derek? I'm curious. What leads you to that conclusion? What leads anybody to the conclusion that Elizabeth wasn't allowed to do anything?
So are you stating what Elizabeth has stated to authorities is a lie?
Well,
are you diminishing?
He didn't say it's fact. He said probably. But I'm just saying, like, where are we coming up with this? Like, what supports that? I don't understand where we're coming up with these stories, and we're coming up with these. What's supporting all of these things that we're putting out there? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know. Were there ever police reports that she was beaten?
And I'm talking not hearsay police reports. I'm talking, I want to see the actual reports, because everything that they have had in the past is presented. So I want to see that source. That's something I know for a fact investigative journalist would have put out, because that is public record.
And I'm going to say this too. When I look into people, I look into everybody. You guys know that. I give everyone the fair look down, right? I try to keep emotion out of it. And I understand this is emotional for most people because it involves a bunch of babies. I get it. But then if we're that emotional, we probably shouldn't be the ones putting out the information, right? My whole thing is, has anybody seen Linda, Gary's sister? Did anybody go down her rabbit hole of social media and look into who she was? Like, she doesn't seem to be living in wealthy conditions. She doesn't seem to be, and I don't want to say this because I'm not trying to down her. I want to put that out there. I'm not trying to shame anybody, but she doesn't seem to be the most educated. Okay? They were raised like that. When you go and you look into her profile, her social media, she talks about abuse. So what you're saying is that because she was already a victim of abuse, Elizabeth, from her parents, okay, then this is justifiable for her. But then you could say the same thing about him, because chances are if she was abused and had issues with her parents, though, then so did Gary. So I don't understand why everybody just wants Elizabeth to be the innocent one, and we're just going to assume it's the other three people. Everyone should be held responsible. I agree. Maybe, now I have a question with Gary Sr., just because I don't know how long these conditions were taking place, how long this house was in this condition. I do not believe this house was always in this condition. If he was sick and had dementia and had issues with being ill before this all started, then he is a victim. He is a victim. And he may not be able to be responsible, right, for it. If he didn't know better, if he didn't have full understanding of the situation, he may not have been able to, he could very well be a victim. But again, everyone's putting out that she's a victim of domestic violence. If you want the honesty, you don't want this woman, I want this woman to be reunited with her child if she was an abuse victim and she couldn't help it. Okay? However, I don't want people giving excuses for people who knew right from wrong. Because what's going to happen is everything you're saying online, she's going to use as a defense. And if she's responsible, then you want her to be held responsible. I absolutely want everyone who's responsible to be held responsible. I don't want to sit there and justify for one and not justify for the other. I do not want to sit there and say, well, he's a man, so it was his fault. You know, she's a woman, it was her fault. Like, you can't. Gender has absolutely nothing to do with abuse and neglect. Like, it just doesn't. Not every woman who is in a situation is a victim of domestic violence. Like, just because she's a woman doesn't automatically make her a victim of domestic violence. It just doesn't. Now, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I don't know where everybody's getting their information from. There's just no excuse for that house to be in that condition. Did a lot of things play a part in it? Yes. I believe, their histories played a part in it. The fact that these kids, 15 and 18, and again, if you're going to say it for one, you're going to say it for the other. I'm sorry, at 18 years old, I get it's legal, but so was her marrying at 15. It was completely legal. So that didn't make it right. So my whole thing is, these kids were literally put in a position where they had to go and be grown-ass adults way before they were ready. Now, if my kid came to me at 18 and said, Mom, I want to get married, hold on, sit down. We're going to have a conversation because I know you're not ready yet. You know what I mean? Like, they were both children. They were both children put in this situation way too early. Way too early, in my opinion. Evenly. I don't think that we can sit there and say, well, she was 15 and he was 18, so he was definitely like, you don't know that. They were both put in a position where it was too early, and both sets of parents okayed it. So they are both victims, in my opinion. And for those of you who are going to come at me and say, well, he was 18, it was legal. Well, in West Virginia, she was 15, it was legal. But it doesn't make it right. I'm just saying, like, I need people to look at this. If you're looking for the truth and prevention and awareness, then you want to know the actual situation. You don't want to create circumstances that didn't actually happen. She was chained to beds and he wouldn't feed her, and she looked, first of all, do you know when they would step in? Was if she was losing weight, not gaining weight adequately with her pregnancies. That's when they will step in. Why are you not gaining weight? Is there an issue with food? That's when a hospital will step in. That they will do. So again, he looks chunky. He was eating well, and everybody else was starving. Like, listen, you're people are running with stories with no evidence or proof to back it up. And you can't just sit there and jump to conclusions and run with it. I've seen everybody into these. You're deep diving into. And it's wild because, they're literally deep diving without evidence into situations that they created because they want that to be the situation, or they can relate, and they feel like they relate better if she's a victim of domestic violence, or they can relate better if this happened or that happened. You know what I mean? What truly happened in that house? Well, there was no reason. I'm going to say three because of Gary Sr. 3 able-bodied people couldn't keep up that house. Now, I'm not expecting, pristine conditions. I got kids. Listen, you're never going to come into my house and not trip over a Lego and see dolls all over the place.
That's what I'm picking up right now is Legos.
Right? Like, you're just not. You're going to see, toy baby bottles laying all over the place. And, my little kids and their baby dolls, they're not clean moms either yet. Like, we're going to teach them that. But, like, you're going to walk into my house and see things laying around, toys. You're going to see that kids live there. However, what you are not going to see is dirt. What you are not going to see is not a comfortable, safe spot for my children to lay their head at night. What you are not going to see is no place to cook or put food for my children. You're just not going to, and you're definitely not going to see 2 able-bodied parents not working to provide for said children. I don't understand why we want to try and justify these behaviors. If they are wrong, they're wrong. Could a lot of things have played into how they got to this point? Yeah, but does it justify it? Can this be justified? Can it be? It just doesn't make any sense. It is, at the end of the day, it is absolutely neglect. I didn't see them. Now, they were going to food banks. Now, again, we don't have all the situation for everybody to be out there spinning these stories like they're fact, all right? People keep saying these children, they hid them away in a room, a 12 by 12 room. Nobody knew they had kids forever and ever and ever. Well, now we're learning that that's not the truth. The kids went to school. At some point, those children went to school. At some point, those children stopped going to school. Right? At some point, though, they were reaching out to food banks and going to food banks for food. We know that. You know what I mean? So we're spinning stories that don't exist. These children were not undocumented kids that they just gave birth out in the back and brought them in the house and nobody knew kids existed. And that's why it's like you really got to be careful, because until the things come out, you don't want to sit there and support somebody and state that they were an abuse victim if they really weren't. Because again, public opinion matters on the internet. It really does. We know how many people in my chat just right now are from Ohio. Probably 3 from the exact area these people are from. You're tainting jury pools. There is no fair advantages. People are spinning stories. I talked to this parent. I talked to that parent. You guys watched me talk to Joey. Take it with a grain of salt, right? Like, we don't know. It's interesting to hear a story, but you make sure you know we don't actually know.
You know what that can do when you spin a story like that? Say they use what you're stating as she's this victim, this, that, and the other. They drop the charges, reunification, and the kids are subjected to it again. That is a real problem. It could go either way, but I mean, that is concerning because those children are the only things and right now, in my opinion, that are the victim.
And then I want to go back to these kids being undocumented, as we keep calling it, right? Everyone keeps asking me, why do you care? Why the police investigators were there that day? And I'm going to tell you why. Because did they know that those people needed help? Did they know that those children were in there? I want to know what investigation you were running to bring you to that house, because from what I've seen, I heard it was, and again, this is not fact, but I heard it was the domestic violence charges and child abuse charges. How many of us have seen that paperwork? So that means somebody knew there was a kid somewhere. Okay. And then, Citrine, we'll get there. Like, do you guys remember when this first story first came out? Y'all had the kids pregnant, and people were saying that the oldest daughter is the mother of the last three, and she had the sets of twins, and the stories are wild. Wild. But I want to know what led the investigation there. Why is it top secret? Why are warrants sealed? Did you know children were in that house? Because you came out barking like we didn't know that there were 16 kids. These 16 kids, we got nothing on them. But yet, government agencies actually had something on them. So, what's happening there? What's happening there? Something isn't making sense. Something isn't adding up. And we got to wait until all the facts start coming out. But right now, we can't sit there and say that there were trafficking rings and these children were being used to go out there. Guys, come on. These kids are on social media. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. The stories that I've heard are just wild. And I'm like, well, where do you get this from? Telling the public sealed warrants might ruin the investigation? What? Why would telling people
warrants?
First of all, if they seal it, they need to make sure that procedure is ran correctly in order to even seal it in the first place. Second of all, how? I mean, we know about this investigation. You know what I mean? Like, it just something there just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. You can't they were there for a parallel investigation is what we keep hearing. Okay? We don't know what the parallel investigation is. They got a warrant. They showed up to the house. Didn't say anything about the crime that they were actually investigating at that point in time, but just happened to come across 16 kids that nobody knew existed until they knew they existed. The kids got, these undocumented kids, they all had birth certificates. They're born in hospitals. They went to school. You know what I mean? So they did say, no, they did not say, Filthy Amy, that the parallel investigation was the indecent exposure. They did say he was charged with indecent exposure, but they did not say that was the parallel investigation that warranted them to get a search warrant to look into that house. So that is not true. We have to separate fact from misinformation. That was never said. We just know that he had charges for indecent exposure and that they were there for a parallel investigation which warranted them to get a search warrant. A search warrant that just happened to be sealed, which I find a little bit, I don't know. So I think they found them through the truancy too. They said Liz had bills in her name. I'm sure these people had bills in their name. It just, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like they were moving every 2 or 3 months. Like, they were in spots for years. So everyone's sitting there acting like they were running and trying to hide these kids. Well, they wouldn't have put kids in school if they were hiding them. They would have given birth to them in hospitals if they were hiding them. You know what I mean? My whole thing is, don't make somebody a victim if they're actually a perpetrator just for a story. I mean, if you're going to talk about the crime, then talk about it objectively. Talk about how the possibility for this could be for this person as well. Don't automatically come out and tell people that this one is absolutely a victim. And he did it, because we don't know that. And why would you want somebody to be responsible for it if they weren't? And why would you want somebody who was actually responsible for it to get away with it? You know what I mean? The problem is that people just get so emotional with these cases, and they relate their own personal traumas and their own personal lives to this situation. You know what I mean? Like, it just becomes crazy, the amount of nonsense I've seen. I need to see proof of born in hospitals before I believe it, in my opinion. So the news did show it. They do have a list of the hospitals that these children were born in. They have all of their birth certificates, so they do have them. They are out. Now, I haven't seen, I did see the list of the hospitals that they were born in, but I have not, I don't have the actual paperwork in my hand.
Birth records and death records are public in the state of Ohio, by the way. So it's not a HIPAA, it's not showing the shots that they vaccinations, etc., but it is showing proof of birth, and then they show proof of death.
That's another thing. Everyone keeps saying they never took the kids to doctors, but do we know that? Do we know those kids weren't vaccinated? Do we know those kids? And again, children not being vaccinated is not illegal. It's not a crime. People keep saying, well, she didn't have her kid. She didn't take them to doctors. They weren't vaccinated. Not vaccinating children is not a crime. I just want to say that. And if children were in school, then that means those children were vaccinated. And if those children were vaccinated, then that means they went to some kind of medical professional to get that vaccination. So again, we don't want to create a story that never existed.
If they're not vaccinated and they go to public school, a doctor has to sign off on that, by the way.
And I'm about to get a message from someone going, here in Ohio, you don't have to have, vaccinations. Someone's going to say something really quite nuts at me because people get so emotional. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. It's so hard to have conversations with people when they just are not willing to accept the fact that they don't know what they don't know. I know that there's an awful lot about this case that I don't know yet. I have never lied to you and said I know something I don't know. Guys, there's far too much that we don't know yet. Definitely far too much that we don't know, that we shouldn't be out here creating victims and creating abusers without anything to back it up. It's one thing to have a conversation like, we're sitting there and being like, yeah, because, it could be this, it could be that. Could be's is one thing, but to sit there and act like some kind of authority, content creators are under an obligation. If you're going to talk about true crime and you're trying to be credible, then I need you to know that what you put out into the universe of TikTok, it's your responsibility to make sure that people understand the difference between fact and opinions and guesses. Because, you can't sit there and create a story for people. Like, literally, the whole story is created, right down to the psychologist that should have done. It's just wild to me. And then feed them that because you don't know who's a victim or if there are any victims among the adults. You just don't know.
And it's people that are psychoanalyzing the Elizabeth and Gary Jr. and Sr. and the Lynn, and you can't do that if you've never met them and you're not a doctor and actually diagnose it. Just like them being slow. Oh, well, they're slow because they didn't finish 8th grade. Okay, that could be true, but they also need to be medically diagnosed as well.
It's the diagnosing for me. I need people to stop because even if you are a medical professional, then every medical professional knows that you need to do a full assessment on somebody to even be able to talk about that. Like, you can't sit there and diagnose somebody you never met. Like, that's wild. It's different to say somebody's got there's mental health issues that they're struggling with. There's signs of mental health. That's one thing. But to sit there and say that people are sociopaths, I see the word narcissist thrown around everywhere. I've seen the words that I'm saying are clinical words, and y'all have no right using them without facts. Those are damaging words. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Someone just said something that, was it true the kids were being airlifted and some in the ambulance to the ER? So, Lori, yes. The children were brought to the emergency room to be checked out. 2 of the children were airlifted to a level 1 trauma center. Other than I know nothing else after that, nobody does as of yet. But that is true. I'm not going to make assumptions. Yeah, I agree. Question, do you think if they get out of jail that they should get the kids back? Trisha, that's a great question. Wow. So I'm going to tell you something. I think the best place for children is with their parents. As long as that environment is safe and they can thrive in that relationship. So I don't know. It just depends on what comes out. Why were those two children airlifted to a level 1 trauma center? Were they being beat? Were they being tied up? Were they being locked in crates? I don't know what the condition of those children were in. I don't know what the motive for this entire situation would be. Like, why were they just not cleaning? Why? It just depends on a lot of the situation. And do I think right away? No, I think that if these children were already in that position, then it wouldn't be safe to put them back in that position again until a lot of therapy and a lot of services were provided to this family, just depending on what the outcome of this trial shows.
Yeah, and monitoring. A lot of monitoring, even if they go back into that. I agree. Right now, if that was the case, charges were dropped and she can just take the kids. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I agree. I think that children should always know their parents and have a relationship with their parents, even if they can't live with them. I think that's the best for kids as long as that is a healthy relationship. So I can't even honestly answer that until I can see what happened in the situation. There's just not enough information for me even to, you know what I mean, to comment on it.
Can I also say, and I don't know if anybody else agrees with me, and it's okay if you don't, but in my opinion at this time, I think some prison time for Elizabeth is the best thing for her due to, well, I'm just saying, due to like medical care for Elizabeth.
I feel like, why would people think that she shouldn't be held responsible?
She should.
I think they should all be in prison for a little bit of time. I don't care what the trial and what evidence comes out to be. I just don't care. There's nothing. And when I say nothing, personally, for me, there is absolutely nothing that can justify those children living in those conditions. Nothing.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, if it is mental health and everything, then that's the safest place to be with those kids, and herself is incarcerated at this point. And I think she needs to be, because she plays a responsible role in this. She, could be a victim, but again, she is the mother, and she is also the perpetrator too.
So Curly Lizard Butt, you said, I don't think we have enough facts about what's going on to make assumptions of where she should be. What situation, and this is, I'm just asking, Curly, please don't take this, you know me well enough to know I always come with these questions. But what situation in your mind justifies that the children were in that unsafe living conditions? I'm just curious. What situation would justify it? And this is not even just Curly, this is to everybody. Like, I'm curious, for those of you who think that Elizabeth shouldn't be in prison and thinks prison's too harsh, well, what would justify those? You see, that's, and Curly, I'm glad you said that. And if you don't mind, Curly, you know me, so I'm gonna bounce off you for a second. I feel like you originally said that because, again, the emotions are there, and we just don't want to think that parents, especially moms, can do this to their child, that there's got to be something wrong with them that explains and justifies it. But at the end of the day, absolutely, Curly, when you look at the situation, I can't find anything that would justify it. Anything. Hey, Curly, how are you?
Hey, long time no see, guys.
I know. What's going on?
Hey, girl. Just trying not to die in this heat. So I'm not saying nothing. Absolutely. I will tell you right now, you know my stance on kids. Sam does too. I just don't think we have enough facts in the case. And I honestly don't know a lot. I was in Columbus when everything broke. And so like Columbus was in an uproar, which is close enough to where this happened. Again, I don't know as much about what's going on as you and Sam, but from being there at the time locally, I'm not saying she's a victim, but she was 15 when she was brought into the family, correct?
Yes.
Her family did not want her to go to this other family that she's with now, correct?
We don't know that.
Okay. Well, from talk of the town and the surrounding areas, not Columbus, Ohio, but Columbus, Ohio, because Miriam said Columbus, it was surrounding close enough to Columbus. Her family did not want her to go. And the fact that she's 33, correct?
Right.
Okay. And I don't mean to keep saying correct. I just don't want to say anything wrong.
No.
Okay. She's had kids every year since then. So Ivory, I'm going to go off topic for a second. As a nurse, imagine what that does to your body firsthand.
I've had more pregnancies than I've had children, and I've had 10.
Okay.
Back to back.
I just know I've had 4, and my bladder is just not, girl, I've had a bladder attack. I've had all kinds of things. So I can't, bless her heart, I cannot imagine. And there are some people who they call breeders. These women love to have babies. I can't imagine the mental state that she's in. Now, I don't know. Maybe she did want these kids. Maybe she did like being pregnant. Maybe she did. But postpartum depression, I had.
So wait. So I'm going to bounce off what you just said, though. You just said, I can't imagine people wanting to get pregnant like that. But I just told you I did.
Yes. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you, but you are different than me, correct? You and I are different.
But that also would make Elizabeth different. So we can't assume that, you know what I mean? And that's the problem with the assumptions trying to justify the behavior.
Correct. But, and this is you asked my opinion, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I just wonder, like, was she made to be a breeder? Did she want to be a breeder? Was she, let me do this because I want to get, you know how you get like, there's too many cars piled up and they call that traffic? Like, was she done like that? I don't know. There's too much information that we don't know about the case. So I don't want to say that she belongs locked up. Maybe she was a victim. Maybe she wasn't a victim. I don't want people, usually, girl, you and I are usually on the same page, but I think in this instant, this is a one time that I just don't agree with you.
And there's nothing,
and I love you. Yeah. And I love that. And I love that you are always so respectful. And in a way, I am glad that there is a gag order. And I think personally, because I have friends who are lawyers and I've kind of talked to them, I don't think the gag order was essentially put because of the grandma, grandpa, mom, and dad. I think it was mainly there to protect the children. And then I forgot who I was watching that says, it was a creator that said now that Elizabeth has a criminal defense attorney. So that kind of put something in my head, like, ooh, why does she have a criminal defense attorney? So maybe there is something. Maybe I will jump to the Ivory and Sam side pretty soon. But I don't know at this point. There's got to be something mentally going wrong in all 4 of those adults' heads. But when I heard they were stuck in, was it 16 by 16 or 12 by 12? That's my kitchen. I can't imagine 16 people being stuck in that room. There's got to be something mental going on. Does she belong in prison? I think all 4 of those adults need a mental evaluation before they do go to prison. That's just me. Yes. I've worked with mental disabilities, adults, children, everything. Go ahead.
But does mental health really justify the behavior?
No. Well, I'm not going to say it justifies it, but I do think it plays a reason.
I'm gonna take back what I just said. No, mental health disorders like schizophrenia or something like that. Yes, that would.
Okay, so
you know what I mean? Like something as extreme as that would. But regular just mental health, depression and stuff like that, do you really think I can't see that justifying the behavior?
It would not justify it, but would it my words, I'm on my second Alani today, girlfriend. Would it give a reason? I'm not saying an excuse, but would that explain a reason? Put yourself in Elizabeth's shoes. If you were living in that nasty house, do you think that I would have a mental breakdown? I have 16 kids. We're living in this, like, I would not even put a stray cat in that house. I wouldn't put a stray dog in that house. she's probably losing her mind. How am I going to, like, I don't think she should get those kids back. Absolutely not. You couldn't take care of those kids when you had them. Like somebody said, she doesn't have a job. She couldn't bathe those kids. No running water, correct?
I don't know that they didn't have running water.
Because that's what I was told locally. But here's my thing. Even if I didn't have running water, there are creeks in Ohio everywhere. You turn a corner, go take them down swimming in a creek. You know what I mean?
I'm going to agree with you when you said that there's
water.
A lot of reasons. I agree
I'm not trying to make excuses, but I'm saying at some point she might have had a mental breakdown.
But couldn't he have
the video
also?
Showed running water. Okay, thank you. I stand corrected.
But couldn't he have had a mental break as well?
Absolutely. Now I'm not trying to make excuses. Please don't come running at me.
No. Okay. I'm just bouncing off what you're saying.
I'm going to the comments as well. And nobody in the comments is being mean. And if any, I know you have a lot of new people here and a lot of people may not know me, but for the people that are new here, just know I'm not a nasty person. I'm not an ugly person. Ivy and Sam can tell you.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like we have enough evidence to place a blame. And I also don't think all the blame needs to go on her. She's pregnant.
I agree. Wait. Who said she's? Hold on. So has not been confirmed.
Okay.
There's no confirmation, and I want to put out there too because that's the misinformation. I have not seen any confirmation. I've seen people talking about it. Could she possibly be asking?
Okay, because I'm going to cry if she's pregnant. I'm sorry.
Anything. Yeah, it has not been confirmed that she is pregnant in jail right now. No.
Oh, I'm going to cry if she is. I'm sorry.
I just, you know what I think, and I feel like for people who would never have that many children, they're seeing abuse because for them, it's like, I could never have 16 kids. I would never have 16 kids. He's forcing her there. There's got to be a reason, an explanation coming from somebody who did have that many children. Mm-hmm. I can totally see how it could be that she's not a victim of it.
I agree. She sheds knocking on the door.
Oh, knock, knock, open up. Here you go.
So again, I guess you know me, especially except for the one person on this app whose name we shall not say. I have a very compassionate heart. I just don't want to place blame until we know enough. I do think that all 4 adults need a mental evaluation. I think they all four need some tetanus shots after seeing that place. I think they all need to be. And I'm not trying to say that. Please don't think that I'm being disrespectful. No. I think the one thing that really brought, and I sobbed, like my husband came out and was like, Kelly, why are you crying? I was like, because one thing I did not even think about till you and Sam said the other day is that, number one, those babies probably have their own language. The best thing was to pull them out of the house, but who's going to take 16 kids? One of the worst things to do for those babies is to take them away from each other. That's all they know. I didn't think about that till you two said something. And I was like, oh, you're right. So this is heartbreaking. This is probably, those little kids are going to have little mini mental breakdowns. You know what I mean? These kids are used to living in squalor. They're not used to being clean. And I've worked with CPS.
So I'm going to jump in on some misinformation.
Okay.
From what I know and what I've seen, they didn't always live like this.
Oh.
That's another issue and why I say there's a difference between reason and justification, right? I can think of a lot of reasons that this all got out of control for them. Now, it doesn't justify the behavior, but I can see the reasons of how it happened. Mental health, the burden of pregnancies and more children coming in. I do believe that there was some kind of issue with the house, with a storm, which is why the house is in the condition. Things got out of control, poverty. I think it all plays a part in how this happened. It doesn't justify it, right? But I can
it doesn't
see
happen overnight.
All of it, you know what I mean, could play a part in it. But when you go back and you look at their social media, and the parent, the mom, I believe, and the dad both confirmed that those children were on social media.
Now, when you say mom and dad, I've been calling them grandma, grandpa, mom, and dad because I get confused.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Elizabeth and Gary Jr. both confirmed those children had social media.
Okay. Now, here's a question. sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Um,
I was just going to say that when I went back and I looked at their social media, one of the kids had art tables, they had art supplies, they had beds, they had high chairs. The house did not look,
how long
from
ago
what I
was
can
that?
see, like 2 years ago. So I feel
So
like something in the last few
happened.
years,
Okay.
something happened. So again, I do believe that there are reasons and understandable reasons for all of this happening. It just doesn't justify the not getting help and the not cleaning.
So someone, I don't want to say names because I don't want to bring other creators, but I've not only followed you guys, but another creator posted a picture of grandma and grandpa where grandma and grandpa look okay. Now grandpa looks like he's had something, a stroke or something wrong.
He did. I do believe it was a stroke.
So do we know when grandpa had a stroke? Do you think maybe grandpa had a stroke 2 years ago? I'm assuming, I don't like to assume, but maybe that's been in the back of my head. That's what I told my husband. Like, maybe that's what happened. Did something happen 2 years ago that triggered it? Was that maybe what happened?
I do believe his health came into play. I believe something happened to the house. And I do know it was storm season, 2023. There were really bad storms that swept through the area, is what I looked into. And what I...
In Ohio?
Yes. There was flooding or something. I have the thing for it.
There was also a toxic spill, like a train derailment, and there was like a lot of toxic spillage that went into the water source.
So that explains the water bottles.
Like
everywhere.
I can talk to my daughter because I have kids that live up there. But yeah, there was a train derailment, and yeah, it was really bad. Do you remember the Aaron Brockovich movie? It was something very similar to that. It was just something very, very similar to that. And there was damage. There was storms. People lost their homes, insurance, and it was a very poverty-stricken area. Now, I don't know where they lived at the time, but the area that they were just taken from right now, in that area, that's
where they were living. That's where they were living.
You can Google it.
The parents were living there for the last 4 years. They moved in with their parents too.
Yeah,
between
so
a
these
year and a half and 2 years ago is what I'm
you
getting.
see the people in the comments. Yeah, they're like, oh yeah. Yeah, because I used to live in Worthington, Ohio, and I now, you both know where I live. I'm not saying it now because people call my husband's work, but just so y'all know, for anybody that wants to call my husband's work, his boss is Trump. So good luck.
But now I do want to put out there. See, I can understand the reasoning, but I can't understand I can't justify it. You know what I mean?
I get it.
Same thing with everyone saying that these children were kept in a 12 by 12 room.
Is that true?
Their whole life. So I don't know why people are saying that they were the room that they slept in, or the room that looks to me like the room they slept in is the one with the crates. When you first walk in off the porch, it had the air conditioner in the window. It had a bunch of crates and a bunch of little styrofoam cushions that looked like they were laying them on top of the crates to sleep in. It looked like that was the makeshift bedroom for them. But when you go back in, I'm going to go back, I'm going to reference their social media. They were in the park on the swings. They were talking about going away for a week. You know what I mean? So this isn't something that they lived in their entire lives. And these people, I want to put that out there as well, though, right? It's not something that they lived in. When you talk to both sides of I've talked to family all over the place. I've talked to people who knew them. The only thing everybody agrees on were the Siders did not live like that.
Okay,
so,
well,
you know what I mean?
You've given me new information today because, again, that's why I come to your live. And I always, like Sam will tell you, if I don't know something, I'll call Sam. We're like, what is going on? So thank you for allowing me on the panel. I'm going to jump down, but I just wanted to
say for coming up here.
No, thank you. But you've given me more information. But yes, in that area, there was a train derailment. There's not a good factories around there, and there was some stuff. So maybe that's why. Do not take my word from it. Do your research.
Yep.
But there was that. But also, until more information comes out, I don't want to put a blame on anybody. I would hate to be in her shoes. And I would never judge you for having kids. I just know my body after 4 was like, Kelly, no more, because my insides were falling out. I had to get spayed because my body was like, 4's enough. So, all right. I love you guys. Sam, I love you. She said, Ivory, I love y'all. I'm going to stay in the chat, but I'm going to jump out the box.
All right.
Kick me out, Sam, because I forget how to leave.
Got you.
I love you, ladies. Bye, chat.
Somebody just asked, what year did she lose the twins? She lost the twins in 2022.
Hey, Ivory, do you have in front of you what year that Elizabeth, because I don't have it in front of me, signed up for SSI?
Oh, Sam, you do.
Because I'm just wondering if something happened.
Why is 2009 sticking out in my head? Hold on. Don't take that back. Let me look.
I was
Was it a
thinking
year?
2019. I could be wrong.
I know. Wait. Sam would know. She's the one. I think she's the one who sent me the paperwork on that.
2025.
There you go. Well, I wasn't even close. See?
So you put that together. She signs up for SSI in 2025. They also move in that house around 2025.
Right. Or the end of 2024. Right. It just seems like something happened around that point in their life.
Yes. And to me, that makeshift bedroom with the crates in that, I feel like maybe the house might have already been so bad. And maybe that, if you look at it, it's the cleanest room in the house.
Yes.
I mean,
agree.
even though it's bad, it's the cleanest room. So was that Elizabeth's way of trying to confine all of them and keep them all safe? The younger ones.
That's a possibility. That's a possibility.
Because nothing makes sense. And even I heard, it was, I don't know if Elizabeth said it, I didn't hear her, but Junior's attorney said all the kids had social media.
Yeah. Elizabeth's attorney said the same thing. They had social media. So they weren't trying to hide these kids or not give them access. We saw them outside. They were taking trips. I mean, the trip was canceled, but still. So it wasn't, you know what I mean? I just feel like for people to assume that this was an always thing, like we need to be careful with that. I do believe that a lot of things came into play that caused this. I just don't think it justifies it.
And maybe is it possible that when she filed for SSI is when she got scared that they might take the kids, and that's when they started hiding them? Just a thought.
It's possible. It's possible.
So I have a thought. Okay, we know that the house was put into a trust, right? And the person had passed away. So my thing is, who was managing that home? Because it looks as though they didn't have a working stove. I think that house over the years was deteriorating. I think there's storm damage, but whoever owned the home was not taking care of the responsibilities of that home. So when let's say there was a flood, there was storm damage, and they didn't come out and fix the damage. They had a broken stove. They could not afford to replace a stove, or whatever the case may be. Maybe, they lived with what they had. If there was a storm, maybe they picked everything up, put it all into a room, and then, things just got worse over time. I mean, that's just a thought in my head,
I agree. I think that's possible. But again, at the end of the day, it just goes back to a justification of the actions, right? Like, even if that's what
absolutely.
happened, they're all the adults, and again, I'm questionable with Gary Sr. because of his cognitive abilities, but all the adults had an obligation that they didn't fulfill. And there's no reason for them not fulfilling that obligation.
True. I will touch on depression real quick. It's been like 3 years now, but I hit a very, very bad depression. It was so dark for me. It wasn't postpartum or anything. Life was just really crazy for me at the time. And I did not leave my room for a year other than to use the restroom. And that was it. And my middle daughter, she's in her 20s. She was staying with me. And then I had my husband and my daughter, my youngest daughter, and they would help of what I was lacking. if like if the kitchen wasn't clean, my husband or my middle daughter would help me keep up on it. So but then if Gary Senior is that bad off, I don't even know where they slept, because unless they turned that house upside down, the mattresses were, kind of standing up. I wonder if they picked those up and set them up. But maybe the mom was so focused on her husband, being sick. Maybe she wasn't doing too well herself. And then you got Elizabeth. It doesn't condone, what their house looks like, for heaven's sake. But maybe they just became so overwhelmed. They weren't really getting help by the landlord to replace things. I'm just thinking, like, I'm trying to rationalize, like, this whole situation, trying to, think, okay, how does it get, like, this is like a show of hoarders, how it just piles up, and you've got 16 kids, a very ill, father, and a mentally ill, or grandfather, a mentally ill mother. I don't know. I'm just trying to wrap my head on how it got this bad. I just don't, because it looks like there's no way that happened in the last 8 months. No way it happened in the last year. That's not, no, that's longer. It has to be.
I agree with that.
And I think maybe they didn't reach out for help because I think they might have been too scared that, because when you do get, certain services and stuff, they may just like pop in, hi, how are you doing? To check on them if they're unable to reach them. Maybe they're just terrified that if somebody did come to the house and see the condition of their house, they would have lost the kids.
That's possible too. I just, what year, do we know what year the truancy was, guys? The years are I'm confusing all the years, so I don't want to say it.
I believe it started in 2021 or 2021, if I'm not mistaken.
That was the truancy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it was 21-22 school year. So that seems like the time where if you put the dates and stuff together, it's coming to a pinpoint of like when this really started, because she lost the conjoined twins in 22, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't move into that house until, you guys said, the end of 2024.
Yeah, it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. We don't know the exact date.
But we know it was sometime in 24.
Yes.
Okay. And then the Siders, the older parents, were already living there?
Yes.
Okay. So I believe, if I read this correctly, Gary Sider Sr. had his stroke in 2019. I may be wrong, but I thought I heard that, but like I said, it could be wrong. So I'm thinking maybe they moved in to help the mom, and over time, things just got out of hand. And I will say this, and Ivory, you may know this, having that many kids in one place all the time, it has to be absolute chaos.
It can be absolutely overwhelming.
Yeah.
At any given time, for both the mother and the father, because my husband gets just as overwhelmed, especially as, even though I work and I provide for my family, my husband always feels like, I need to make sure there's always provisions here for my family. He's always going to be the provider, even though I help. If anything were to happen, my husband always feels that main responsibility. Does that make sense? With so many kids,
no, yeah, absolutely.
Get a little bit panicked, but he's like, you know what I mean? So it can be just as overwhelming for, Gary Jr. as it was for Elizabeth. And I just want people to remember that.
Oh, absolutely. And his parents, they've got all these kids all of a sudden, And if you have any kids that, I'm not saying they do, have ADHD or, any issues, because ADHD is very, very common, and with that many kids, and you've got kids making a mess 24/7, and the older kids, especially the girls, they're going through puberty, their emotions, their hormones are going crazy. And I just see this house full of chaos all the time with that many children, a sick, grandfather. I'm not making excuses because, like I said, there's absolutely no excuse for that. But I'm just trying to figure out when it just started to really go
I'm
downhill.
with you on that. I feel like it wasn't always like this, right? That fancy, yes. I've been saying that. I do want to put out there though that I just fancy made me lose my train of thought. She was mentioning that the DV charges. Remember, I told you guys that there were DV charges, and wasn't it a child abuse or child something fancy, something about child abuse or neglect? That was
Oh, they
supposed to be
have
the
that
parallel.
too?
So that was what my understanding is, that was the parallel investigation that was happening when they went and got that search warrant to search the house. Everyone thinks it was the 4 charges of indecent exposure.
Right.
However, that's not been confirmed, and I don't believe so. I do believe that there were DV and child, I'm not sure if it was endangerment, neglect, something like that.
So is there like a police report? Because those are public, if I'm not mistaken.
So no, it's sealed.
Oh, it's sealed.
We don't know that
And who's
information.
suing for it to be unsealed? It was
Columbus Dispatch is suing them for access to the sealed information because they feel like proper procedure wasn't what's the word I'm looking for? Wasn't carried out when they sealed it. So the Columbus Dispatch is suing them for access to it.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Wow.
So, and again, like Fancy just said, we don't know that it was Gary Jr. We just know that there were domestic violence and
it could have been
child.
Elizabeth and, her mother-in-law. It could have been anything.
So that's why I keep everyone's like, I don't understand why you, with all of this going on, why do you care so much about that search warrant and the investigation that was there? Because I feel like that really does make a big deal. Why they were there, what the parallel investigation was, what the search warrant, like I want to know the probable cause that you used to get that search warrant. Yes, there were other child brides, and there also were other child neglect charges. Gary Sr.'s sister's oldest child was also charged with child neglect. So, yeah, all of it runs deep. It runs really deep.
So this could just be generational, because I will say this,
On
if
both
you're,
sides, correct.
yeah, so if you're raised a certain way, and that's all you know, and you continue that type of living because that's all you know. This could just be generational. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ivory, you said that that they didn't really live like that before. You don't think?
Everybody I spoke to that was close to the family, including Joey, who doesn't even like his own, who doesn't like anyone, admitted that they never lived like that. Siders didn't live like that. He said that, and so did the other relatives, who asked me not to say anything, but they also said the same thing. They did not live like that. They were not known to live in those conditions. That was not a thing for them.
Okay, so this is something new.
Ivory, did you also see where Lynn, which is an aunt, has come out and now she is saying that Gary Jr. and Elizabeth are distant cousins?
No, I didn't. Oh, Jesus Christ. No, I didn't see that.
Wait, what?
Just saw it today.
So they're
I didn't-
distant cousins.
Well, now that's not verified. This is what Lynn, which is an aunt, said. So I have not verified it yet. But that
Gotcha.
is
I
coming
did.
from.
I
It
just
is a
want to
small
say
town, you guys.
I did see a couple news reports. I don't remember who it was. It was a lady that she said that it actually has been confirmed that Elizabeth is in fact pregnant again.
I have not seen any confirmation. I've seen people talking about it.
That was on
I've
the
seen-
Ashley Banfield, and it's another podcast. But if you
Oh,
have
it's
to
not an
listen to
actual.
you have to listen to the whole podcast. She says it's not been verified.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
mine
So
said
they
the
just
same
took a
thing.
clip.
Lawn crime said
Fancy
the
says
same
she
thing.
is.
I have not seen any confirmation that she is pregnant. I've seen people talking about it, but like she said, Law and Crime also mentioned it. But if you watch it fully through, they said they cannot confirm it.
Gotcha.
So it hasn't been confirmed anywhere that I can find, and I've been looking for that.
And honestly, I don't know if they would confirm it with everything that's going on. It may, make things worse, for her in her case, actually. I just can imagine being 33 and having 16 kids and losing two of them, and not just losing them, but they're conjoined. I just can't imagine as a woman, I had a little bout of postpartum depression after my second one. I just, her body never got a break. Her hormones were, but women like, to have a large family,
It
but
happens, and it happens by choice, believe it or not. Contrary
right.
to what a lot of women who don't have a large family believe, it very well could have been a choice.
Right. I was listening. I don't know whose live it was on, but someone had said, you remember that old saying that men like their women barefoot and pregnant because
Yeah.
it keeps them at home and he doesn't have to worry about her running off or finding another man or cheating. And somebody had said, well, maybe she wasn't wanting more kids and, it was kind of forced. We don't know. And I don't honestly think she's going to say or do or turn against him anytime soon. If in fact this is, legitimately some type of abuse against her, I just don't see her saying anything because a lot of times you protect your abuser until people really help you understand, but I think she's both.
It's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible. Hey, Fancy, you up here? Do you know you're up here?
Oh, no, I didn't know I was up here. I mean, I knew I wanted up. I just didn't know you actually let me up.
Oh.
Yes, you're right. I just looked at the transcript of the long crime reporting about the pregnancy, and you're right. They did not confirm. They said that they just thought that was something. I thought it was confirmed before. I think this is going to boil down. I think this is going to be a very complex case with a lot of moving parts in it, and I truly think that this gag order that has been put out, it's because specific officials have said things that they shouldn't be saying before they do the investigation and the evidence is in,
Right.
and calling them pure evil and all
Feral, and you just tainted the jury pool in that small area. Yep.
yeah, this could definitely. I mean, obviously, it's still neglect, no matter what way you shake it. But
Right.
like you said, this can be just a like like an inciting incident of just things started getting worse over the
Out
last
of
year and
control.
a half. Yeah, because I'm seeing a year and a half too as to where this is falling apart, and I think it has largely to do with them having to take care of Gary Sr. The mother doesn't look like she's in great health either, like the grandmother. So I'm thinking, honestly, this is a case of just it got out of hand, and you have 16 kids, and if those 16 kids aren't cleaning up after themselves, well, then there's one person cleaning a house for 20 people.
Right.
That's a lot. she's, and she just lost her, she just had more babies. She's lost babies. So like, I feel like this is a progression of mental health, especially with the grandfather now being determined. They think he's incompetent to stand trial. And so we have to take into the account of, like, if an insanity defense for him is played, was he mentally incapacitated the whole time? Just recently, like, there's so much that's going to go into this. This is a fascinating case. I am really, I can't wait to actually unpack it all, but I wish the media would stop sensationalizing it. It's another case where it doesn't need to be sensationalized. And of course they are,
I agree. Yeah. I agree with you. I think that, again, a lot of things happened in the last maybe 2 years that just escalated and got to the point where it became overwhelming for them.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, on the standpoint of abuse, do you believe she was a domestic violence victim?
I don't know. I'm hearing a lot of bad stuff about Gary Jr., but I mean, the fact of the matter is these indecent exposure counts, they even happened at home. So it could be that maybe something was going on with the bathroom, and he went outside to urinate and people saw him. Because it was all in one, like, week times period that he did this. So, like, something could have been happening. And I just wonder.
If you saw that condition of the bathroom and the toilet, that definitely wasn't working towards the end.
Exactly. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about the DV situation since it was sealed. I'm wondering if it's like elder abuse or grandfather doing something. We don't know at this point. And until that's unsealed and we can figure out what that actually was, it's speculation at best right now,
I'm telling you, it's that sealed investigation and warrant that I really need to see at this point, because I feel like, well, why'd you seal it? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense on why you sealed it, unless you're covering up. Did you make a boo-boo? Did you gain access to that house and
I don't think so.
carry
It
out a
was
search
sealed.
warrant that wasn't covered?
No, the sealed search warrant, the search warrant itself was sealed when it was brought down. And so basically it was a bilateral arrest and search and seizure, because they both judges, it was signed by two different judges. So the probate judge signed the DV, which is interesting to me that it's probate, but they do deal with domestic violence situations as well. So there's that. And then the 4 counts of indecent exposure were signed by a different judge, and they were signed together at the same time and acted on at the same time. So that DV charge, whatever that 30 to 60 day investigation that they were doing, I think that's, like you said, is going to give us the key to what was really going on and why did they search this house,
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that could be anyone. It could be any one of the 4 members. It could even be one of the teenagers, at this point. So we really don't know what that has. And I think they're trying to protect that actual investigation from whatever it is, so.
Yeah, I'm super curious about that. I feel like once that comes out, it's going to open up a lot more. It's going to give us a lot more pieces to this puzzle.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't know that there's very much that can justify the kids living in that.
No.
You know what I mean? So I do believe that they should all, and again, Gary Sr. it just depended on his cognitive function.
Right.
I agree with
I
Curly.
feel like they should all. Go ahead.
I think that I now, will they let us know as time goes on, or are they going to keep everything hush hush until the trial? Will we know more things or no?
I think they might start keeping stuff hush hush, just because the gag order was accepted.
Yep.
I think that they're going to try and protect it, because let's be real though, it is a small little area. Even outside of that county is tiny, and I think that they're trying to protect the jury pool and again, look at the sensationalism. Look at Fancy's Not Lying. Look, this crime went viral. It's emotional.
Right. And
People
does
are.
it taint, is it going to taint their trial? Because the trial is going to take at least a year and a half, 2 years, unless they do a speedy trial or whatever. But I think this may taint it because since it is huge, it's all over the news. It's not just social media.
It already has, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hurt their cases. Like,
Well, and that's part of the rub of social media and media these days. Like, how much can they shape a case? And we saw this in the Gypsy Nicholas Godejohn case, right?
Yes.
So, how much can media shape the case? And it's all going to come down to how the judge rules. And the judge, so far, he seems to be trying to protect the actual evidence and keep officials from being able to make erroneous statements like pure evil or whatever,
because they've already painted them as these evil, horrible people. The media has, like, finding 12 jurors that, it's possible not everybody, is in this, but finding 12 jurors that has not heard about this case I think it's going to be a little tough.
Well, it's not about not hearing about the case. Everybody thinks that that's like what it has to be. It's not about not hearing about a case because every case gets put out there through the media. Even small cases get put out through the local media, right? So it's about whether or not they are able to put aside what the media has put out there and only be able to make their decision based on the evidence presented in court or not. And so they'll go through voir dire and they will ask the jurors those types of questions to find out if they feel like the jury can or cannot be impartial. Now they can ask for a change of venue, and that might happen simply because this county cannot take on the financial responsibility of all of this. This is 3 times their normal budget just to take care of the kids. They normally only take in about 45 kids a year in this county. This is 16 thrust upon them immediately with some of them severe health conditions.
They just got $1 million, didn't they?
They did get a grant for the Department of Social Services to continue to take care of the children, but they haven't addressed the cost of how this is going to affect the court case. They did assign special prosecutors, and the county is not having to pay for that. The counties that they work for will continue to maintain their salaries. But I think it may end up, like Ivory said, in another venue because of just that, the sheer cost of this to that county.
Right. Now, when we do
that happened, though, with, I live in a very small town, and there was a murder case that was it was pretty high profile, and they did have to change the venue, and they tried the guy because it was a hung jury the first time, but they tried him in different counties because of they couldn't find
we have a case like that here in Kentucky. It was a Bardstown case, the Crystal Rogers case, and they had to move the three original defendants because of the national of the the notoriety of it in such a small town and who he was and all of that in the town. His brother was also a police officer, and now his brother's being charged in tampering and possibly the murder of a second victim, her father. So we had to do the same thing. They had to change the venue just so they could get this impartial jury and not have such a high ticket case in a smaller venue.
Well, my question is, when it comes to the jurors, will they, because usually when you have jury duty, it's within your county, right? Will they have to?
They can pull from other
counties.
They can pull from other surrounding counties if their jury pool is not enough.
Yeah.
So there's only about 12,600 people in this county, period. So that's a pretty small jury pool to pull from. And you've got to take into consideration anybody who's going to claim hardship or they can't get out of work or, anything like that, depending on if there's, people who don't get paid for jury duty by their actual companies, then they can opt out. So there's a lot of options for not serving, that they have to take into consideration too. So, yeah.
For me, that's why it's so important that because this is an ongoing investigation and trial didn't happen yet, I think that's why I want creators to see the obligation you have to be honest, not put false stories out there, hit it objectively. Right. It's one thing to talk about it. We're all going to talk about it, right? But be objective about it. Don't put out false narratives and stories and make one a victim, one a perpetrator without knowing, because that's seriously going to taint it. People in that area are on the internet. They're all in our lives. We've seen it. And so, that's where I just think that you need to take a responsibility to your followers and to the, the whole true crime niche. Like, you need to be careful when the trial hasn't happened yet to look at everything objectively.
Right. And I think that, we all would like to pretend that impartial juries exist and nothing ever happens and it's all done in a vacuum and it's all perfect and the justice system is great. But people are humans and it doesn't happen that way. It's even, you have to even consider, like, okay, so say you're in court and an attorney says something and the other attorney objects, and then they substantiate it and they tell the jury to disregard. Do you really think the jury is capable of actually disregarding that information?
Absolutely not.
No.
I know I couldn't.
Exactly. So it's really hard. And these days, I think getting an impartial jury is even harder than it's ever been,
Yeah. Yeah. People can't even be impartial on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Everyone takes in their personal experiences, what they think they know, their background, their work, and they're going to sit there and it's really hard to put that aside. And I know they're supposed to run by just the evidence they see and the testimony they hear, but that's so hard in and of itself that adding all of this
on top of that, you're thinking about a very rural, heavily uneducated area. So you're trusting that in this area, you're going to find 12 people who can even understand all the things and evidence that are presented to them. I've always thought about the fact that I felt like juries, yes, I understand jury of your peers, but I also feel like they should have some amount of, like, I don't know, certain people on a jury that based on the circumstances of the crime, that can understand and explain things to other people on the jury that don't understand.
You're talking expert testimony that it goes over their head, and so that specific piece of evidence is going to go out the window, and they're just not going to use it because they don't understand it.
Right. Yeah. So that's it's like, how are you expecting normal everyday people, much less a more impoverished, more undereducated area, to understand all the medical ins and outs of something or the psychological ins and outs of something? That's hard. And I know, I don't know what the answer to our jury system is, but I definitely think that our judicial system needs a complete overhaul. There needs to be things done. I don't have the answers. I just know the problems. What'd you say?
I agree. I think to an extent it should be a job.
Yeah.
Where people are educated and they're trained to listen and they have no dog in the fight, like all of them. And that's their job, is they sit there and they just look at the evidence that's presented, the testimony that's presented.
Yeah, because it's especially with how heavily coverage of cases happen. Before it used to be like you got your newspaper and you got your nightly news, right? Now you get information from every social media site you're on, and the Joe Schmo down the street's got his opinion, and this podcast has got theirs, and that one's doing this, and then you've got all the content creators on all the different things giving their opinions and their thought processes.
This one source and that one source, but I can't tell you,
and it's just like, it's become something that I think in our current situation and climate of the world, our system needs to change to be to keep up with it. Just like I feel like the cyberbullying, cyber stalking, all of those things, having the laws that we have, it hasn't caught up to where we're at in history with the media, and social media. Like, they don't have a good way to police all of these things anymore.
You need to come up with a way, in my opinion, because it's getting out of control and becoming a dangerous.
I agree.
It's becoming a dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It is a lot.
Well,
but I think this case is going to be a big case.
For me, I think, and I'm not trying to, I get people from the town, they know the ins and outs and they understand, how some people, it's poverty and stuff like that. But at the same time, that doesn't give you more of an advantage of your opinion. You're going off of your feelings because of the town, and not the facts aren't out there yet.
Yeah.
Now, Michelle just said in the comments, she said, hopefully they're not trying to push everything under the rug because of being a small town. And I'm going to tell you this, because of the virality and how out there this is, they can't. There's no way, because why? We wouldn't allow it to be. There's no way. In fact, they put themselves in a really harsh position because it's so viral, and because of what happened, there's no way they could push it under the rug.
No, and I was doing, I did a video on what the ramifications of this could be for these 4 people, and they can face up to 192 years in prison for this. Each one of them.
Well, when the one judge said that the maximum of 12 years.
It's 2 to 8 years per count.
Each count. There's 16 counts, 8 years a pop. That's 192 years. Now, it depends on whether the sentences run consecutively or, consecutively or congruently or whatever. Yeah, it's the 2 different ones. One is they run at the same time, and the other is they run back to back to back. And the idea behind that would be that each victim deserves their own justice, and so they would want them to serve for each different child at each different count. So it just depends on how the rulings come down, but they can be looking at an outrageous amount of time. And then it can also come down to, if it goes through and they find out that, this all unraveled in a year and a half because of some tragedy, and everything, they could do nothing almost and end up getting their children back. It just really depends how it goes through the court system and what happens.
Yeah.
Now, do you think with the oldest
child abuse charges or not?
What?
I said, I think it's going to depend a lot if they get child abuse charges or just child neglect.
Exactly.
Yeah, because the grand jury is, they waive their preliminary hearing, so now it's up to the prosecution presenting to the grand jury if those charges are feasible, if there needs to be more charges or less
charges, exactly, or no charges. I mean,
But wouldn't you agree that neglect is still still abuse?
No, they're separate charges.
It is, but they're separate charges. Yeah, under the eyes of the law, they're separate charges, like I was saying.
Thank you. So, my whole thing is, does anybody else see other charges being added?
They did say that there could be additional charges being looked at. So I don't know what that would entail. I mean, it could entail elder abuse. It could entail, torture. It just depends on whatever those extra ones could be. So I do think that there could be, but I just don't know what we don't know what happened in there. We really don't know.
This would have to come from the children's mouths, themselves, when it comes to abuse,
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No. Nope.
No, because
there could be evidence of abuse without someone saying it.
Yeah, it can be from the evidence of the abuse, from the sustained injuries, their medical conditions, everything. Yeah.
What did you say?
Now, I want people to remember when they went through that, when we saw that house, we saw it after they went through the house. Now, I know that they took evidence. I know that they took swabs. I know they did all of these things, right? Because they said they did. We don't know what they found and they took out of the house, right? We
Right.
don't, I mean, there could be chains. I don't think so, but there could be. Like, I don't know we don't know what they took out of the house by the time we saw the conditions of
Well,
that
they
house.
did say that there were no cages or restraints found. That was
Right.
was
I'm just
put out
saying, like,
there.
as far as
Right.
like, anything. We just don't know as far as
Right.
what evidence could be that can change it to abuse. Yeah.
Right, and I wondered even if the all the different piles in the yard could have been possibly from the search of the house as well, just tossing everything out as they're going through it. Because police are not notoriously neat when they search a home; they don't care.
So they did say
You
that
know.
they took the stuff out of the house just to get into it.
Right through
Because
the
they went-
window, correct?
Right. So yeah.
Now, will there be, being that the oldest is 18, would that still be a charge because she's 18?
Yes. Because if the crime happened when she was under 18, it's still a child. And
Right.
two, as far as they're speaking that she's got some kind of disability that keeps her mentally young, then she's still a child in the eyes of the law.
Didn't the prosecutor state that they're treating her as a minor even though she's 18 years old?
Yeah, I believe they did.
Possibly, yeah, I think they are now, but it depends on what's going to unfold now with the coming out of the text messages and Chloe, which is the oldest child, having the boyfriend and the social media and the teenagers
So
having social
Chloe-
media and all of that. It's very
and
interesting.
Chloe and Gary the third also had social media. Did you see it, Fancy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was,
Yeah.
There was three guys that we know of?
Right.
3 or
And
4 of them we know had social media, spoke.
Right.
They could write, they could read, obviously.
Mhm. Right. I mean, you could use text to talk, but I have never found text to talk to be that freaking accurate. So,
Yeah. Not when
and the conversations were complex. So the original reporting that these children cannot communicate or couldn't read or write their names was completely inaccurate of the older children. So, it just, I don't know. I think it was jumping the gun in the beginning for some of the statements made, and assumptions made.
Well, the thing of it is, they might not have been able to write it with a pencil, but they
Right.
knew how to write it from a keyboard.
Right, because
Yes.
you also have autocorrect.
Right. Right.
So the misspellings, I don't think the autocorrect worked. But the one girl, did you guys see the one? And I'm not going to say her name, but she was making masks and she was writing. You watch her writing in one of them.
Yeah.
She's writing down dimensions and so I feel like definitely they were able to write. One of them at least was able to write with a pencil.
Right. Yeah.
Actually,
Um,
right.
Have you heard about so there's something that's keeps bothering me in this is because there's an allegation that she had a child at 13 that is out
So
there.
that's not true. So
Okay.
everyone, when they went down the rabbit hole of looking for the kids and hearing names and talking to family, they were hearing Tyler. But Tyler is Joey Russell, the brother of Elizabeth. That's his son. There was no third. It's because when the family came out talking, they mistakenly said she was 13, but she was actually 14 when she was pregnant, 15 when she gave
she got
birth. She
married.
gave birth 2 months after she got married. So
Okay.
I think they heard 13 and assumed that
There's
that
another
was the child, but there was no, it's never been
Okay,
confirmed.
because see, I was thinking they hadn't linked that child to Gary at all, so I was thinking, was there something else we don't know?
Yeah, no, that's actually Joey's
okay.
child, not with Elizabeth. Like nothing like
Okay.
that.
Okay. Well, that's
And we do
interesting.
know that there were in 2022, they were the conjoined twins.
Yes.
So if they found 16, then we know that that's 18 children she was pregnant with. Ultimately, all in all.
Plus, we
Right,
don't
that's
know
the
if
one
there
that
was
we
like
can confirm.
miscarriages in between because you can see there's like a 2-year span. Usually it's every year, but
Right.
look, there's a few that are kind of like almost 2 years apart.
Right, but that's an assumption, right? We know that the other pregnancies happened. We know that there was in fact 18 children that she gave birth to. You know what I mean? The rest would just be assumption. And then we don't know for a fact that Gary is, or that everyone was saying that she wasn't the one that was giving birth. But if you look at her timeline, she's the mom of all of them. She gave birth to all of them in a hospital. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was there's so much misinformation in the beginning. Do y'all remember that? I
Yeah.
mean, they had kids giving birth. It was wild. I was just
Yeah, they
like,
were
oh,
alleging there was relations between the children and whoever, there was all kinds of things being alleged,
yeah.
It's just yeah.
And it's really sad because when you watch their social media, you know what I mean? They didn't at all seem, well, one of them seemed like she had some issues, but she was at that age.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that emotional, hormonal age. But the rest of them, they were playing with each other. They had the one girl is an artist, unbelievably. She was making masks, out walking dogs. She was
Right.
outside videoing. Like you didn't see mess in the house the way they had blankets on their beds. They had beds. Like, it's really sad that, it'd be different if they lived in this their entire life. But for something to have happened to this family, for this to have come about, this whole situation to come about, and then these kids get caught up in the middle of it, and they just want things to go back to what they knew was normal. It's so sad. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Because from what I see, Gary and Elizabeth maintained their own address for quite some time.
Yes.
So somebody was working somewhere. Now we got the DoorDash because that's what Elizabeth stated, but I feel like he had to have worked. Someone worked at some point in time.
Yeah. No, I think they weren't on assistance either. The only two that were on assistance were the grandparents. So they weren't getting like food stamps or cash aid or any of that. So there had to be money coming in somehow, and I wonder, again, I really feel like this happened in a rapid succession of events that caused all this. I
agree.
I don't see it being and I also don't think it was a malicious intent. I don't think it's malicious intent. I think maybe, things just got out of hand and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse, and that can happen.
100%.
So I don't know. This is going to be an interesting case as it plays out, I think. And yeah.
My issue with this case and every case that I love starting cases when they're done because of the simple fact that I need to know now. My patience is non-existent. Like I want to know now. Like someone unseal the damn records, show me the pictures, just tell me. I won't tell nobody, but I need to know. Because I can't wait for years for this trial to happen. It just drives me nuts. I need to know now.
Right. Like, I don't like covering them as we're having to, like, get the pieces as we go. Like, it drives me crazy, too.
Yes.
Do we know if Gary...
for me and I'll tell you what I think.
Do we know if Gary Jr. ever had, like, a legitimate job?
I don't know. I don't know. We don't know yet. We don't know that yet. Yeah.
Other than door dashing, that's the only thing I've seen or heard, and that was confirmed by Elizabeth.
From what I understand, he was in between jobs, and so he was door dashing because he lost a job, and then he was looking for a different job. So there's that,
and that makes sense with the timeline too. They lost a job, moved in with the parents. Yep. The parents needed help, and I do believe a storm played a part in the condition of the house. Not the poop on the floor, but the falling down, the you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just feel like I agree. There in the last few years, I just feel like they had a run of bad luck. Things just piled up, became overwhelming. Conjoined twins, I can't imagine. Conjoined twins being born, you're losing twins. Just everything happening.
And you have three more sets of them, 3 more sets of twins.
Yeah,
and then on top
I have
of
10
that,
kids, but I've never had twins, never 2 at once. That is a superwoman because one was hard enough.
And to think of, and if you look at the house, the inside of the house was not being maintained by the landlord. Like, so I don't know that conditions either. Like, we don't know what was their fault versus what was a landlord not fixing, that they couldn't take them to court to fix it and they had no other options. I mean, there's so many
Yeah, that's what
factors
I
that would play
said. We
into
don't
this.
know.
Then,
Yeah.
as far as the
Because the
kids,
house was in a trust. You know, we don't know if the
Yes.
lady was in a nursing home, you
Right.
know, so we
Yeah.
don't know that. I think it kind of looks like some landlord neglect.
They did.
Yeah.
They did mention and verify that the landlord lived on the same block.
Oh, they
Okay.
did.
Okay. Yeah, and it's something, but like you said, it was something about a trust, and I can't remember the exact details. It was like one lady had passed, and so it went into a trust, and so another person was taking over handling the trust, and so maybe that's how the house got into such bad repair. I don't know
when
during
was
that
COVID?
period.
What years were COVID? I know I try to.
20,
I'm traumatized.
2019 to 2022.
So
And
again, that could have played a part in him losing his job. That could have played a
Yeah.
part in why the house wasn't being maintained. Nobody was allowed to leave. Nobody was allowed to go places. You know what I mean?
And
for a long time,
that's when the truancy started happening, the 21
Yeah.
to 22.
listen, yeah, that was a big deal. I know my older daughter caught COVID quite a few times, and they were trying to say even from the homeschool, they had to do it on the computer.
Yeah, mine kids
They
did
were
the
trying
computer
because she
too.
couldn't log in. She was sick.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to say that there was truancy, and I'm like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, we're all locked in for a reason. Everyone's sick, you
Yeah.
know. So were they
We
truant
had some
because
of the
they
same
didn't
problems,
have?
Ivory. Yeah. Yeah.
Did they not have Wi-Fi for them to attend during that period?
Oh, wow.
You
I didn't
know,
think
I know
about
Yeah.
that was
that.
all of my kids in one house with my Wi-Fi. That bill went crazy. I had to up it because they couldn't all do it at the same time. Like when you
Right,
had a
because
lot of kids in the
she
house,
had what,
my
7
Wi-Fi
kids
couldn't.
at that time?
What just
I think she had what, 7 kids?
7 or 8 kids? Yeah,
Yeah.
And what if
you
this,
know what I mean.
Ivy? What if they did live, in that house across from the convenience store? And let's just say that the landlord did live on the same street or not far from there, because we know they just dropped their rent payment. What if when they moved in there, they had to keep the kids hid at that time, not to let the landlord know that they were there?
That
Oh,
too, because what
absolutely.
landlord would
Well,
allow that many
also, like,
children?
right. Well, also on top of that, though, if well, depending on how big the house is, I don't know how many bedrooms it is. I don't remember. It depends on how many can be in each bedroom. But if it's COVID, think about that. I mean, people weren't going out during COVID, so there would be a reason for the kids to not have been seen then too.
And I mean, everyone was protecting their children, not allowing them to go
Yeah.
anywhere. And if you look at the social media, they were at the park at night when nobody else was there, because kids need to get out. You know,
Right.
I remember taking my kids to the park when we bought swing sets so they can get out in the yard.
But if the landlord didn't know that they were there, like a decent landlord does a check at least once a year to make sure,
She
there's
was
no
older.
problems.
She was an older woman.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I think that things kind of were put to the, wayside because she was older. She was elderly. We don't know what condition she was in the last 2 years.
But you got to think about this too. If you rent a house and your oven quits working, you call the landlord and they come in and they replace it, or your
Right.
AC, or your
Unless you're hiding
dishwasher,
something.
or exactly.
And let's be real, COVID was a very hard time for everyone financially, just because people couldn't get out to work. They weren't. But you got to wonder if the landlord was like, I can't do it. We don't know what responsibility the landlord holds with this.
yeah, and
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
if she's elderly and say it's just her, she really, maybe her kids don't live close by, as long as they're getting the rent payment, out of sight, out of mind, kind of, in a sense. They rented to 2 elderly people, and they probably trusted, hey, these people probably might have good rental history. So
And
they're
not
not
even
worried.
that. Guys, what is the gap between her children? Was that COVID years?
Yes. Yeah.
Because maybe
Yeah.
she wasn't
Yeah.
getting pregnant because, look, I'm not about to go to the hospital and risk my kids. We don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it makes you wonder.
Right.
Well, I
Was
did.
that,
Okay, hold on. Let me look at my post that I made about this, because I made a community post where I went through and detailed each one of the dates. So just give me a second. I'll go there and look at my community post, because I have all
I
their
believe
names
she
and all of the dates.
had a kid in 2019, and the next one was 22. Or
when
no.
COVID was ending?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she had the 2022 twins that died.
Right.
And then it would have been 2023, her next living child.
Yeah. And then 24. And then, yeah.
Okay, so hold on. Can I see my post details? All right, so let's see here. So the birth started in 2008, 2009, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. Then there's a break. 2016, 2017, 2019, 2020, 2022, 2022, that's the twins. 2025 is the second set of twins. And 2024 is the third set of twins. So third set of twins, second set of twins, 2024, third set, 2025. Okay. So yeah, this is a period of time. So she had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids before COVID. The last two were born in 2019 and 2020. And then it stops for a year. For 2 years. It goes from 2020 to 2022. So she's pregnant through 2021. And then she has the conjoined twins in 2022. So COVID could play a huge role in all of this.
Especially if you had 10.
Definitely plays a role in the truancy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what responsibility did that school have? You're saying that you couldn't find them, but what was your responsibility for making sure that those kids, if you're going to use computers, and let's be real, everyone uses, and you're going to make sure that they use online, then you have to make sure they have access to it.
Right, because they were supposed to, like my children, they sent home a thing asking us if we had access to the internet, and if we didn't, the school was going to provide the laptop and the services. Like they were bound to do so. If they didn't follow up and they didn't provide the services to them, then that could also be why they didn't move forward with the truancy, instead of, because it found out that they did not move as much as they said that they moved. They tried to say that they were moving, county to county
Every
to
other
avoid
month
this,
or something.
but they hadn't.
Nope,
They
they
only moved like
maintained
3
housing.
times. Yeah,
Which is normal to move every 2 years when you rent, because usually people want to up the rent, do stuff. I mean, it's normal when you're renting to move around more than someone who owns.
Here's my thing, though. Maybe it just got worse because with COVID, you were getting unemployment, the max amount of food stamp benefits at the time.
Yes, everybody was.
The $1,400 and then payment for each child.
Yeah, the stimulus checks.
The stimulus.
And
it stopped. And then 2025, she goes to apply for SSI and got denied. So, that could be another factor where they were doing great.
for SSI and got denied. I didn't catch that part.
Yeah, Elizabeth. I have the court record for you if you want it. I'll email it to you.
Could you email it to me? That'd be great.
Yeah. But got denied. So I'm wondering if during COVID everything was good, and then they couldn't manage to live on their own after all the finances. They weren't, and here's another thing. During COVID, if you're getting EBT, they're giving you the max amount. You don't have to go into the office.
Yeah.
Or they're just giving it to you. And
They were
that's
giving out
basically
so
it.
much free money, honestly. And
how many people were caught in that trap when it ended? Like, what do I do now? How many people were affected so bad when that happened, and their life all of a sudden became turmoil? Like, now I gotta play 3
We were
years worth of
screwed
pressure.
financially so many ways. So because our state was so backed up, it took us almost 2 years to actually get unemployment for my husband and myself. They kept just pushing it back, and we were on this list, and we just kept calling in, and they just kept pushing us back. And the only reason I got it was because a friend of mine on Facebook had seen that I was posting about this and how frustrated we were. And she says, hey, my mom works for DFS. I've given her your number. Is it okay to contact you so she can help you? And that's the only reason why we could push through when we did. And we didn't have to ask for any type of assistance after that, up until that point, because we had a savings that I had been able to amass over the last years before COVID. We were doing really well. So we were able to stay sustained, but then we got behind on our payments at the very end there. And so we got evicted because of it, or asked to move. You know, we ended up not going through the full eviction. We moved out, but we were asked to leave because of that. And then our state had originally told us that the overpayments from unemployment weren't going to be taxed, and then they taxed them, and they didn't do what the federal did in giving you like that $10,800 credit. They didn't do that. So then we were screwed with the IRS as well because of all the overpayments that they gave us during that period of time. So it financially rocked the shit out of us for a while. But there was also a period of time, you know, once we got all our back pay and everything, that we were doing really well, you know, but then we got hit on our asses when we went to file taxes. So it was like, yeah, it was bad, then it was okay, then it was bad. So it really affected people financially so heavily, especially in these rural type areas.
Not only did it negatively affect them, but it also it gave them a false safety net, right?
Yes.
People who were broke were getting more money than they were used
never
to.
had. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just stopped on them. And then it's like, what do I do? How do I rebound from this now?
Yeah.
And also the rent. Yeah. Some of them, if you weren't paying rent, they couldn't evict you.
Right. And then they had a bailout that if you couldn't, because that's what happened with my husband and I, if you signed up with this program, they paid your rent for you.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. But a lot of people got behind. And so while the moratorium, you know, was on that they couldn't evict, was everything good. But when they canceled that, then all those back months of whatever you didn't pay when you were having all those problems all became due at one freaking minute. And
then maybe broke people had no choice but to move in with their parents with all of their kids.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot.
So I feel like a lot, I feel like a lot of things all play into this. I mean, they could have been just affected with just everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, this really could be just a spiral of events that nobody accounted for. I mean, granted, no one should live like that, but there's teenagers in the home. They should have been cleaning themselves and taking care of themselves.
But we don't know if they're able to. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't even know if they're able to.
Is.
Right. So there you go. So it just really, there's so many different, you know, factors in this case that have to be considered before you can look at it any specific way, you know?
I agree, especially before we sit there and call people abusers and victims
Pure
and all of
evil
that.
And yeah.
It very well could be they were all a victim of just life and hard. You know?
Yeah. I mean, and you got to think if she's got 3 sets of twins under the age of 3, you know, how much more could she possibly be doing? That's 6 kids right there. You know, we had curfews too. and so 6 kids under the age of 3. Then you got the other kids. You've got several of the kids supposedly have medical issues. Like the grandfather's got cognitive and health issues.
You
Like,
got dad outdoor dashing as much as he can.
he can, yeah. And let me tell you, that's hard. Okay, my husband did DoorDash to support us for the years through after COVID, and we couldn't find jobs and get our jobs back because the companies didn't reopen or rehire. So that's what we did for 3 years, and it really physically was hard on my husband. It ended up it's part of the precursor to him having his heart attacks and having the decline that he had because of COVID and him having to work so hard. And it takes a lot to sustain on DoorDash. It's not just, let's go out and DoorDash for a couple of hours. No, my husband had to DoorDash 8 to 12 hours a day just to make, to clear after gas and everything else, like $120 a day. That was his goal, to come home with $100. And after paying for the gas, paying for their lunch while they were out, eating twice out because they had to eat dinner and lunch out, it was a lot, and it was hard. It's not easy to sustain your full income, especially to support 16 freaking kids on nothing, And then I looked into the weird things that the lady suggested, or said that they were buying each night. And it turns out that if they were buying the water, the oil and sugar, and that was their normal thing, they could have been using that as the caloric intake for, that's a like a poor person's way of keeping their calories in and sustaining without having to actually purchase food.
So this is where we're going to disagree. I don't think that they would have done that. It would have been cheaper to get ramen noodles.
Yeah, I agree.
And two,
But if they
had no stove.
Have you
They had
ever
If they had
taken
no stove, Ivory, how would they cook ramen
How
noodles?
would they cook it?
because they had a crock pot. It was on the counter.
Okay.
But do you guys remember? Anybody ever take castor oil?
Yes.
I did when I was pregnant.
How do you feel after you swallow that castor oil? You're trying not to puke
Oh
it up,
God.
right?
Ew,
Yeah.
it was god
Eating
awful.
oil, even though it's high in calorie content, will cause you severe stomach pains. It'll cause you to vomit, diarrhea, all of those things. Eating vegetable oil, it's not.
I just don't think it's
possible.
possible. I don't think that's what was happening. I really
Here's
don't. I don't
another-
even know if I
It is
believe
a
everything that girl
possibility.
said.
Here's
Yeah.
another thing, Ivory. If you go through the videos, even in slow motion, I do not see one bottle of vegetable oil. And the
No.
only thing in those videos that I see that would be cooked with it would have been the Tyson chicken patty wrapper on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you see no oil bottles. The way that
I'm
girl
curious-
described it, there's no.
Yeah. No, I agree with that
I'm
too.
curious if they had a microwave. I'm sure somewhere in that room it was just tossed aside. But there was potatoes. There was food. There was food in that house. You know what I mean?
But the food did look like it came from pantries because
It
it
did.
was, from what I seen, was like mainly canned food. So I do think they're getting help somewhere. Somewhere, I think.
And it was said that she was going to food pantries, the local food pantries.
It was also said that she was turned away at one point.
Probably because she was needing so much, you know? It's just, it's everything. I don't know. It's just what gets me is the dirt, the dirty diapers on the floor. Like, I can't get past that. That is up, you know what I mean? That,
In the world, under the sun, that's gonna, condone, say that's okay.
I agree. So I definitely
Even
think
if-
that there was neglect to some extent.
Well, yeah, I definitely think there is an element of neglect in this, but it really, again, it depends on the mental health situation of the caregivers, as to whether that's malice or without malice.
It's who is it going to fall back on at this point?
Elizabeth.
Yep.
Elizabeth.
I feel like, listen, I think that Gary Jr. is going to be the one that takes the fall because people want Elizabeth to be innocent of any neglect to her children. And that's where public opinion comes into play. People don't want to accept the fact that she
Yeah.
could have just been neglectful. She can love them and still be neglectful. You know what I mean? And I think that Gary Jr. is going to be the one that's why the gag order's there. He's going to be the one to take the fall because people are trying to justify. They just can't emotionally understand how a mother can do this and they don't want to believe it. And listen,
But
kids
this is the
and
problem.
women.
The dad is just as much responsible as much as the mother. There's
Absolutely.
Ivory, did
one
you
is
see what
not more
Cheryl B
responsible
said?
than the other.
He's able-bodied. We know he's able-bodied. So, okay, I understand. You come home from work, you're dirt fucking tired. I get it. We've all done it. But you can't just come home from work and just be like, yeah, there's just diapers everywhere because she couldn't take them out because she didn't have any time to. You're not just going to walk past it. You've got to pick those up. He is responsible too. He was just as
All of the
responsible to
adults.
pick them up and take the diapers out. You know,
Ivory, did you see what
Every
Cheryl B
adult in
said?
that house was obligated. That's why, and I agree with the charges questioning Gary Sr.'s cognitive. But
Yeah.
I think they all had that responsibility and they all
Yeah.
just let it go. You
Ivory,
can't,
did
you
you
know,
see what
no
Cheryl
matter
B
how
said?
bad their story is, it doesn't condone it. I'm sorry,
No.
what she said?
Did you see what Cheryl B said? She said the pastor of the one food pantry said that grandma would come in with the older kids.
Okay.
See? So then they were seen. They weren't, you know what I mean? Like they were trying to get help. And I wonder with everything coming out now, they were stuck in this 12 by 12 room their entire life. Then it
And
came
they
out that
weren't.
these kids went to school. They were
Yeah.
on social media. Like I wonder if it's not going to come out that they applied for services and during COVID and they just didn't get to them.
Can I just ask a question? So when you said about your schools, did they completely shut for the whole time? Because
Yes.
in COVID, because ours, and like Samantha, because mine have got special needs and that, there were certain categories that your child could go to school in a certain class,
No, at
including
one
the
point,
people that had not a lot, including the people that were like on the register with the Child Protection Services or whatever you say over there.
no, at one
Yeah.
point, who got a violation? Who got a violation? Me? That's wild. No, at one point they closed the schools completely down and we had to use the computers and sign up online and
Yeah.
do the schooling online.
Yeah, but it was like key workers, essential workers and that, their families could send them, or if you had a social worker, which we call social workers, they had a duty to schools to keep an eye on the people that were on the registers. And it turned out that they had to like check every so often that like the kids were still okay.
No, here they closed the schools completely for 2 years.
For the whole time, oh, right, we didn't have,
for
we had
two
sort of,
whole years.
I was in Washington State. That's where COVID in America happened, and
Yeah.
they just reopened everything in schools in 2023. So my son was he missed second and third grade
Yes.
of elementary, and then a lot of families who had special need children, that was the issue, was because they had special need children, therapies and stuff like that were not available as they were. And yeah.
Also, here's another thing for everybody in the chat. I know everybody's in a different state. Just Google how many kids are missing in your state since 2019 when schools were closed and put it in the comments.
yeah.
Okay, so in May of 2020 is when they closed the schools in Ohio. I don't know how long they stayed closed. It started as a 3-week closure, so does ours, but ours lasted up to I think ours lasted 2 years. I think we came back in 2023, but my daughter had already graduated by that point in time. But it took us a long time to actually get back to full school. There was even a part where you could go, you were only going to school on certain days and they were alternating.
Yeah.
Like these children went Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and these children went Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Tuesdays, Thursdays, and whatever. It was really odd during the whole time period. But yeah, their school closing began in May of 2020. So again, that tracks with these kids not ending up in school during that period of time.
Yeah.
I
When
don't
did
know.
school start back up in that area? So someone in our chat is from that area.
Yeah, Mac's from that area too.
Because I was just saying that our school still had our school still had a responsibility to check on those that were under child
Yeah.
protection services. They still had to go round and like pull up and check, and that our schools were still accountable
I don't
for
know
that.
about that. I don't know.
No. My daughter worked for a school district at the time as a lunch person, and they did go in and they had a bus route that they would take every morning to all of the kids that were on free lunches, and we would still provide drop off lunches for these kids every single day.
That is correct.
They would ride the bus and they would go, but they weren't doing like checks inside the houses. They would a worker would just walk up there, drop off the box, and then leave,
Well, see, in Southern California, we went once a week. They provided a week's worth of lunches. We would put them in the refrigerator, it'd be frozen burritos or whatnot. We would go once a week because my daughter just started kindergarten. And let me tell you, a kindergartner first year of school on a computer was so hard. Her attention
I had a kindergartner.
It was horrible. But yes, we went once a week to pick up if we wanted to. That's the thing that was sent in the mail or an email.
Now here in Oklahoma, we went every day. Every day the school would open up at a certain time. It was every other day. And you just mentioned how many kids, and they supplied breakfast and lunch.
Yep.
For all the kids. And we had so much milk, we didn't know what to do with it.
So apparently they tried to reopen in March of 2021 from what I'm seeing, but I still don't know if that was successful at that time. Several of them
I believe it was optional.
Several of them missed the deadline for opening back up, so it could have been.
I believe at that time it was optional. You could keep your kid home, or you can send them.
And then think about it, though.
Here's the other thing.
If I had newborns at home, I'm not sending my kids to school.
What did you just say? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Right here, guys. The sole public district in Ohio, Jefferson Township was where they were, declined vaccinations for school staff, so Jefferson Township remained in a virtual learning model in 2021. So see, this is making that make much more sense when you look at the eyes of what was really going on in the country at the time.
Yeah,
they didn't just stop going to school because they just stopped going to school.
Even if
Ivory came up with
didn't go back when it was time for them to go back, that's completely understandable for me when you had newborns in the house. Like I would be idiot sending my kids back to school when I had newborns.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing too that we got to think about, because I had the teacher talk to me. One, my kids sometimes would be playing and not learning while on the computer. And another thing we had an issue is, and I'm wondering, because multiple kids are going to be on the computer on Zoom at the same time, interrupting. Did they have a spot to go to class?
They had the desk too. They must have been trying.
Yeah, I had a Christmas village, and I had a whole buffet table decorated, and my son would go sit at the dining room table, and they told me can we put him somewhere else, because the kids were getting distracted by my Christmas decorations, because it was sparkly and the Lego, So that's where I'm wondering, where would they all sit to go to school?
Well, not to mention, how could they all be, if there's 10 kids, okay, you're looking at 10 kids, all in different age groups. How many of what different schools are they going to? What different classes are they taking? How many can sit on a computer? You can't have 10 computers.
That was my problem. I had about 8 of them going to school during COVID, kindergarten up to high school. I literally couldn't keep them in the same room because one would be talking, it would be distracting the class, and the other one. I only have so many rooms in my house, right? So I had this kid here, this kid there. The internet kept going out because it was overwhelmed. Yeah.
Right.
The Wi-Fi was overwhelmed in my house. I had Alexa yelling at me, this one's got to be logged on at this time. This one's got to be logged on at this time. This one's got gym and needs to be outside in the yard to do her gym. They said we're doing gym. When I tell you, I don't even have my Alexa on anymore because it was just yelling at me all day long. And when I tell you that I was like, never again, my kids are going, I don't care what disease it is, I don't care because I can't teach kids at home. And I mean, really think about that situation.
Okay, and so I just got confirmation that county stayed closed. They were the only county that stayed closed for an additional year. They did not go back until the 2021-2022 academic year. So they closed in 2020. They didn't go back to school. Then for 2021, they didn't have school. They went through the whole school year till June. No school, just online school. And then in the fall, they decided that they would reopen at that time.
And listen to this, Ivory.
There you go.
There's 2.1 million school-age children in the United States. That's 4% of our nation's kids from the ages of 5 to 17 that are not accounted for.
Jesus.
But you think about it, those kids, school, a lot of times school was their safe place.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
that
there was
was
an
what we
increase
said.
in DV during this period of time too.
Yeah.
I did a whole series on that back in the day. I talked with this woman who is like an advocate for all of that, and she was talking about how it increased so heavily and that a lot of times it wasn't being investigated either, because how were you getting away from your abuser to be able to report anything? If he wasn't going to work, you weren't getting away from him, so it got worse. Like,
so with that and the kids, it was a nightmare, wasn't it? I had Adam trying to learn to read, and the girls were doing cheerleading all at the same time in one room. So Adam's trying to read, and the girls were doing flips on the floor on a mat. And I just remember sitting there going, "Oh my God, how can I do this for a year?"
And you look at COVID, during COVID, the kids are not in school, and you're not going to get that same type of education. So that might be why some of those children are not as educated as they could or should be, because they missed a portion of the important part of their life.
Their foundation of their foundation. And think about anybody else's kids who were young during COVID have an issue with socialization. Like my kids were afraid of people after a while. They were so little, kindergarten, they were very tiny. And when they were finally able to open up, kids were scared to go back to school. Like they had to reacclimate to the world because they weren't going to friends' houses. They weren't going to birthday parties and having friends at school and being around other people.
They weren't socialized. Yeah, they weren't socialized at all.
Oh, they were completely isolated from the world.
So that
you really couldn't even take them to the grocery store. They were literally stuck in the house 24/7 unless you had a backyard.
And we were only allowed to take one child with us to this shop. I'm saying grocery.
Okay, so the age sorry.
It was like we had to split up. So I remember being in the queue with one child, and then my partner being in the queue with one, and Adam shouting, "Hi, Mum!" And I'm going, "Shh, don't listen to trying to pretend that he didn't know me," because we had to take a trolley each as well. But Sam will know, you can't leave any of them at home when they've all got needs, however old they are. So we had to take all three out every time because they couldn't be left on their own. And we were having to split up and trying to pretend that we don't know each other. It was quite funny.
Right. Oh yeah, I remember that too. So the ages of the children in 2020 would have been a newborn, a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 12-year-old. So at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids that needed to be in school actively when the pandemic started. 6 kids at least by the second year of the pandemic.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. You're not looking at any of that. And then you've got 3 babies. You've got a newborn, a baby, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old. So you got 4 more that are underneath. Just, are you kidding me? How do you think this woman, did this?
What?
Yeah, Ivory came up with a good point when it came to COVID.
What, Stacy?
What did you say?
No, I was just saying with the babies, like Fancy just
Yeah.
said. With the babies, can you imagine? I have 2 under 3. I don't have all
Yeah.
those kids, and I want to pull my. If you saw me right now, I look like I've been through a lot. You know, so I couldn't imagine having all of that, and so
And then the year that they return back to school is when she has the conjoined twins. So they're supposed to go back to school.
After that traumatic event happened in their family.
Yeah.
so I could see how it maybe went downhill because they aren't receiving the benefits anymore, but mental health took a hit because of you being at home and all the kids supposed to be going to school plus the babies under that, but you are living on your own, and then that gets thrown under, done with. So it's been years and years of not one thing, it's another thing.
Now think about it too. You know, if you move, right? What do you need to enroll your kids in a new school when you move?
Birth certificates and shot records.
And what else?
Proof of residency. Proof of residency.
And if they're living with mom and dad and that woman didn't have it, they had no way to get those kids in school.
Plus, you also have to think, we don't know if there was a bus running. Like, they didn't have a big enough car to transport all these kids.
Well, even if there was a bus, they wouldn't have had the lease with the kids' names on it to show proof of residency in that town, even when it finally did open back up, for them to go back. Because they're not supposed to be
and think about that. Okay, so November 20th of 2022 is when the first set of twins that were conjoined passed away. That's right during the period that the school is reopening, trying to get these kids back into a classroom and all of that. And in this period of time, you got Gary Sr. having a heart attack, and they're like, well, crap, we got to move in with mom and dad. We have to take care of them. We can't afford this anymore. We can't live here. Like, it's all circumstantial. Like, this literally looks like, honestly, just a failure of a system. Like, it just failed them. And every which way these people got failed. And when I was looking at the walkthrough, I didn't notice regular feces on the ground. I didn't see that. I don't know. Maybe you guys did.
Yeah, I didn't see anything fresh either.
Yeah.
So it could have been, like you said, dirty diapers. That's a totally different situation than you telling me that these people are walking around with feces on the ground.
Right.
And also, think about it too. Do they have to pay for garbage?
Right. I'll be honest. There have been times when we were really, really, really poor.
What are you about to say, Fancy?
Where we had to pack up our bags of trash at night and go to a Walmart or whatever and throw them. Okay? I've been there. I've done that.
I still do that because my house is so big with so many people.
Yeah.
That it would be overwhelming. And so I go to my kids' rent apartments, and in their apartment complex, they have a dumpster. And so my husband will collect the garbage bags and go to the dumpster and drop them off there. Or my bins would be full in a day.
Guess what? I'm lucky in that aspect. Normally not, but our garbage, I just moved, in this town is free. So,
not your Southern California. You pay for water and trash.
Yeah, and
we pay for water, trash, and electricity or gas, depending on what it is. We don't have gas; we have electricity. But I've had houses that have had all 4 bills: trash, water, electric, and gas, depending on whether your stove uses gas or not, or your water heater is gas or not. It just depends. So there's a lot to consider there, guys.
Yeah, in Southern
Before
California,
we run with making people abusers.
Yeah.
Right. In Southern California, we have to pay for our trash bins, $25 for recycle, $25 for regular trash. If we threw a birthday party, if we threw a birthday party and we had extra crap trash, or even Christmas,
right,
we would have to pay an additional $50 to have them pick up the trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now here in Oklahoma, your trash and your water bill is together. So if you don't pay your
No,
water
ours is
bill,
too. Yeah.
then you don't get your trash picked up.
Picked up. Or if you don't pay your trash, your water's going to go off.
We pay
Exactly.
for everything here separately. How many people live in Virginia? I pay 2 water bills. I pay the water bill, and then I pay for them again to go and clean the water that they're giving back to me. Make that make sense.
Yes, I have to pay that too. Like my water bill is $100 before I even turn on the faucet.
Yeah.
Like that's
Right,
how
because
it was.
the
Now,
yeah.
like for several years here, we've been here 4 years now. This is our 4th year. And in the beginning, we were paying like $250 for water, and I'd never paid a water bill that high. And it was because of a treatment plant that they had. And we were paying $100 a month for that treatment plant. And then we were paying for our usage of water. Like it was insane. Now for whatever reason they've that has subsided some now in this last 4th year. I think maybe we've paid for the treatment center at this point is what's happening, and maybe like there's lesser financial like taxes and whatever on it. I think there's lesser things like that because it's gone down considerably. It went down by like $100. Like my husband, we went from being like, oh wow, that's really outrageous, to my husband's like, well, wait a minute, what? So
let me tell you, if that family was paying for water,
mm-hmm.
the size of my family, the amount of money I pay for water is unbelievable.
Right.
Unbelievable. When I tell you it's hundreds of dollars a month just for everyone in my family to take a shower every day, cook, clean, do all the things, the laundry, first of all, if that entire room is filled with clothes, I totally get it. Because if I showed you all my laundry room, you'd be like,
Yeah.
I literally pack it up and throw it away every few months and start again because I'm like, I can't maintain it.
Like if I have a week where I'm not well, I mean, you can go in my kitchen right now. I had some episodes where I was not well, and my kids were working full time. My husband is not able to stand there and do the dishes either. My dishes are stacked up right now, and I like yelled at my kids. I'm like, we have to do them. Like this is not okay. Like every dish is dirty, and that's simply like in a 4-day, 5-day period that I couldn't get up and do dishes. This happened. Like
one sick day for me, my house is
one bad day and you're out. Yeah, you're out.
I'm playing catch up for me.
You can't play catch up, and if you have a disorder that you're chronically in pain and you can't stand for long hours, like I can't do multiple loads of dishes a day. I can do one load of dishes today. That's all I can get. So it's like you get behind the 8 ball. And it just continues to snowball. And then it's like, okay, so now that's being dirty. Now what else is not getting done because I'm trying to focus on cleaning that? Like now my laundry's piling up. Like, I mean, I really see how this can just very quickly get into this level of just insanity. And if your kids are not cleaning up after themselves at all, she's got 16 kids, 18 kids, whatever it is, 16 kids that are in the house. Like, seriously? How can you expect one woman to do all that? And 2 elderly people that are needing care? Like,
I think it was a snowball effect.
I don't think I could maintain it.
Yeah. Cheryl just made a good point. She said, and I know my husband, his family lives in Maine, and they do too. Not only do you pay for the trash and the barrels, but they also have to have, like, I don't have to have specific bags for mine, just a clear one. But I know they have to pay for the bags that they get as well. So that explains why their garbage is just sitting all over the place, because could they afford the garbage bags? I don't know if in that area you have to pay, but I mean, again, I can see how it all just snowballs.
That's like me. I have 2 toddlers, and what am I doing, Ivory, every time you talk to me?
Yes.
I'm cleaning.
Yep.
Every single time I am mopping and vacuuming, and I have a special needs child. So I have to keep it clean because he'll put anything in his mouth and whatever. But also, when I was younger...
What you just said, Sam, though, is it for me, though. Safety in a house with kids is clean, right? And that's what how the hell did those kids not swallow something, choke on something, have stuff fall on them? I'm surprised that they were being watched, because there's no way that they'd still be alive.
Well, it was reported that 2 were sent to, the trauma hospital. So we don't know what those children were getting into. But I will say there was nothing to me was fresh in that house. Like the trash didn't really look fresh. There's no feces that looked
No, it
fresh.
didn't. It didn't look fresh. It looked like, yeah.
It was stored for a while.
Wait a minute. Not only did she have the two twins that were born in 2022 in November that passed away, she had a second set of twins in February 2022 in February. So she had twins, then almost got pregnant, then got pregnant almost immediately afterwards, had another set of twins that passes away, and then in 2024, she has another set of twins. So this woman never even had time to grieve these children passing. She's got two other twin babies that she's taking care of. I mean, this is insanity. It is absolute insanity. And, you know, at what point do you close your legs? Like, at what point? Like, seriously. When? When?
That too.
Do we know about why they didn't use birth control or anything? Does anyone?
Yeah, it's a religion. It was a religious.
Is it religion? I thought it might be.
Yeah,
I just not
I know
heard.
that she said that it's a religious thing, right? We don't know that she was saying that she was having children because it was a religious thing.
No, I heard. Well, what I heard in one of the reports was that they had stated that they would have as many as God would provide, and so that is a religious thing. I have people
that I agree.
We had people in our church that were the same way, and they had literally a child for every freaking letter of the freaking alphabet. I'm not kidding you. So that was their choice as a religious choice.
You can't use religion because I'm a Catholic, right? And I had years where I didn't have kids, you know what I mean? And you don't necessarily have to be on birth control to not have
you can do the pull-out method. You can do all kinds of things.
What I mean? Like, you can still be responsible regardless of your religion.
Right.
So I feel like, you can't even use the religion as a...
I'm not saying it's an excuse. I'm just saying it is a reason. When you're saying...
For them.
For them, it could definitely be that. Like, that's what they said. Okay, as many as God wanted to give us. So they could have been using, like you said, non-traditional methods of birth control. Clearly they weren't, because they were pregnant every year. They could have, but they didn't.
Condoms are so much cheaper than children.
But you got to think of the way Elizabeth said it, too.
Yeah.
Elizabeth said, we thought our kids was a gift from God. We wanted a big family, but not like this.
Yeah.
So
Now,
then why did you stop?
Oh, she said that?
So that makes you wonder, why did Elizabeth say that? Does she have a lot of handicapped kids that we don't know about that she
That's
couldn't
what I'm
handle?
thinking. I'm thinking there may be some autism, ADHD. Like, we really don't know.
No, we don't.
I mean, I was thinking about the ones that passed away. Could that have been because she had some quite quickly in that? Because I lost one and then I got pregnant with Adam, and they reckon that is something to do with why Adam is the way he is, because I'd not recovered from that, literally got straight again. So
twins are really just a fault in the system.
It's not like, not like lack of vitamins and all that. Okay.
No, they were born conjoined at the chest, and they were 24 weeks gestation. So they were born very early. I mean, that's not 36 weeks is considered full term. 40 weeks is.
But didn't they live for 1 hour?
Yes, for 1 hour.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at the fact that so the doctors allowed her to continue that pregnancy even though they were conjoined, which we know happens. But if there was proper prenatal care, I just feel like
but we don't know if there was proper prenatal care or not. We know that they were born at hospitals, and 6 of them were born with the same midwife, but we don't know if the care of like the mother when she's carrying them, we don't know the care of
And it's COVID during that time.
And it's COVID.
That's right.
COVID again. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So she may not even have known that they were conjoined before they were born.
No.
I can't imagine that being a surprise. That's wild.
So
They
the
were
span
born
of 9
at
months, she was born.
Hosier Hospital, right? Or what was?
Yeah, I
Am I
think
right with
so.
saying
Yeah,
that?
Hosier or something like that.
Yeah,
Hoser,
something like
Hoser,
that.
Hoser.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, in
man.
a span of 9 months, she had two twin pregnancies. One of them being the conjoined twins, and then there's a gap, so she's pregnant again for a nut. So she gets pregnant almost immediately after these twins are dead. They die. She gets almost pregnant immediately again.
Yeah.
Jesus. And then has two more sets of twins. I'm sorry. I really just think this is a system. This is a case of circumstances happened the way they happened.
I
Like,
agree.
I think it just got out of hand.
Your
I
physical
feel like
health.
to assume there was malicious intent anywhere in here
No.
is premature at this point. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, I feel like
And
in
your
a
physical
2 year
health
time
too.
span, it just
No,
fell to
not
hell.
Children's Hospital. We're not talking about Children's Hospital.
No.
It wasn't Children's
Well, I'm
Hospital.
her physical.
Oh, it's pronounced Kozer?
Yeah, Kosir, but that's not where it was. That's not what it
Oh.
was. It wasn't Children's Hospital. It was something
Oh,
else.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. I'm really curious. Man, I really want to know what she has to say.
I do.
I really want to know how she, in her mind, I want to know your mind, the process, your thinking process with this. Like, how, I want to know how she justifies it. Both of them, all of them, but more her, just, I'm only saying her because the pregnancies and, you know what I mean? Like, all of them. I want to know how any of them, I want to hear this.
Well,
Kyle.
we don't know how that it also really relies on what was Gary Jr.'s type of way of being the leader of a family, was he forcing her to have these children and these sexual relations with her, or was it her and him? We just really have to look at all the sides of this. It's all going to boil down to just a few things here, and how did this happen? How did that happen? How did this happen? And once
Just
you
for
get all
the
of those things,
chat, we're not
yeah.
excusing what happened. It is
No.
horrific. We're just trying to get into maybe how it got to that point where I don't believe it was ever to that magnitude. It's one thing to have toys, maybe some dirty dishes in your sink, laundry,
Right.
but it's another thing in that condition. So
Yeah.
again, we're not excusing it. There should be
No.
definite
looking-
consequences, but
Yeah.
and it's not okay how they
We're
were living.
looking for the reasons, but there's nothing can justify it.
Correct.
No,
Mhm.
nothing. I
Yeah.
mean, justification is different than actual malicious intent, though. Okay,
Mhm.
like you have to look at this is going to boil down to whether this happened because they were just neglectful, horrible people, or did this happen because of some other kind of forces and it just happened and it got out of control and they didn't know how to get it back into control,
Yeah.
so it's all going to boil down to that and how it's presented in court. Really, that's the way it's gonna that's what we have to look
And
at.
somebody
Yeah.
stated, I don't understand why they didn't just move. They are in a very small town, so availability on rentals, I would assume, is extremely hard. You have to. Maybe they were waiting for a rental
It's
to come
expensive
open.
to move. How many of us right now
Yeah.
can afford to move if they had to move their entire family into a new house?
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
it's really expensive. You have to have first and last month's rent for some places. You got to have money for a moving van, or hire your friends to come over with their
Plus your
whatever.
credit.
Then
Well,
your
first
credit.
of all-
Gotta be
Yeah, your
up to date.
credit. Like there's just
First
so
of all,
much.
you got to find a house that will accept 16 kids.
Kids.
I'm gonna tell you, I only had 8 of them. When I first moved from New Jersey to Virginia, I'm sorry guys, I'm chewing. When I moved down here to Virginia, I was looking for, I was trying to rent big houses until I can buy one. And I'm talking 5, 6 bedroom houses. I had the money to rent the places. I had the job. I had the credit. I had everything. it was the kids for them that they didn't want. They would tell me, I'd rather not have that many children in my home. And it was really, I found one place that
Yeah.
rented to me, which was a lot
Yeah.
smaller until I could buy my home because I didn't think it was going to be that hard, but it was. Nobody wanted to rent to me with 8 children, only 8 of them, because
Right.
their 8 were so young.
And when they went into this, they had like what 10, 12 kids at this point when they got into this home specifically. So I mean, it's just wow. This spiraled out of control, guys, over a 2 to 3 year period, from what I can tell. I don't think that the children were abused their whole life. I don't think so. It just, and even
I've
other
never seen
groups-
any evidence. With everything I've seen, there's been no evidence of that.
No.
And everyone I've spoken to who knows the family, they all agree that they
Yeah.
didn't live like this.
Yeah. Interesting. It's very interesting. I think, like I said, this is going to all come out in court, and if they do a good job, we'll figure this out, but I really do feel like this is a circumstantial situation. And that being said, if they find that there was no malicious intent, Child Protective Services or Department of Child and Family Services, whatever it's called in your area,
They'll give the kids back.
they'll give the kids back. This is the thing. Reunification is always the
The first
first
priority.
choice. Okay, that's the first priority. They'll create an action plan. You've got to do this, and then we will reevaluate reuniting the children. Then after they reunite the children, then there's, okay, so you've got to maintain this, and this for so long, and we're going to do all these checks, and we're going to continue to check in on you guys. So, I mean, there could even be, honestly, guys, we could see a reunification of this family together at some point.
And I pray it
depending
happens
on-
if
on
if
what
they are
happens.
victims
If
of
there was no malicious
circumstance.
intent,
Yeah.
like that would, we want that to happen. I want there to be no malicious intent. I want these kids to have their power.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
If
Yeah.
they're just victims of circumstances, they deserve to be back, with their parents, have their kids. The only thing is, the only way I see that happening is if they do have help, from the state,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to do it on their own.
Well, and that would
Absolutely
be
not.
part of the action plan. Like, if these children need medical, whatever, and everything, the state is there to assist getting these children the proper care and a proper place to live. And if the parents are found that they are not malicious, that it was a circumstantial thing of these things, all these things happen, and this is what caused all this, then they will move to help them. They can help them find a new place. They can give them this. They can.
Now,
There's
think
a lot
about-
of things they can do.
There should be a lot of things they can do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in these areas where they're hit so hard financially,
Right.
these little counties, these little towns, and they don't have the ability
Resources. Yep.
and the resources to help them, that's where
Yep.
it's going to become a problem for them. And that
Yeah,
might
that's
also
what I
be
was-
a them problem. That
Yeah.
might have been
Well,
a problem
that's
from the
where
get-go.
the state. That's where the state's going to have to step in. I mean, they've already given a $1 million bond for the care of the children while they're in the foster care system right now. That's going to have to be increased, because taking care of these children, 1 year taking care of one child can cost, especially with the health conditions and everything, can cost anywhere between $150,000 to $850,000 a year for financial services to take care of them.
Well, let me
Yeah.
ask you this. Are you talking
Insane.
about for one child, or are you talking about for all of them?
I think it was one child that it was like that.
Okay,
that
that's
caused that.
not true.
No, I
I'm
have to
sorry.
look it up.
She was saying
I
if they
have
have
to look it
medical,
up.
if they have medical,
Yeah.
If they have medical issues and all of that, it can cost
yeah.
anywhere from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they have medical.
Yeah,
But-
because like
And
my
they do.
son, he gets speech and OT, and I'm not
Yeah.
kidding. I think OT, thank God for insurance, is like $600 a visit, and speech therapy is like $250 a visit, and that's a week. That's every week.
wow. And it's so sad because help like that should not be based off of money. Like
Well, I agree, but I also want to put this out there, and don't come at me, guys. I'm just, you also have a responsibility for yourself. I can see something hard happening, but if you are always struggling and you continue to have the children,
Oh,
then
I
you're
agree.
responsible for bringing those children into that struggle as well. You
Oh,
need to be
absolutely.
responsible for the life
Okay.
choices and
Yes.
not have any more if you can't do it.
Right. There's no excuse for that. I mean, I don't, even if, because a friend of mine, she's Catholic. And I remember after having my second one, I thought about getting my tubes tied. And she said, you can't do that, like you can't sterilize yourself. It's again what God wants. God, all children, are gifts. And, I just told her, but I know, that I don't want any more than two. Well, thank God I didn't get it done because 16 years later, I had my third daughter, But yeah, a lot of times they just don't believe in sterilization or birth control.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So here's where this is what it said. The State Department of Children and Youth estimates that placing and treating the 16 siblings will cost between $150 and $250 per child per day. That adds up to roughly $850,000 a year. So I guess for all of them, $850,000 a year, and that's without any
That's
consideration
medical.
of medical.
Yeah.
That's
See,
without the
I
medical.
don't see that because they only pay
I'm with you, Brooke.
the foster parents so much to take in that child. So
Well,
then they'll pay their medical, but if that family makes money, you can't get food stamps, but they will get
that
medical.
family, no, the family that's fostering, their income and everything does not get factored
Yes,
into.
No,
it
it
does. I'm
doesn't.
a
They
foster
they will
parent.
get food
Yes, it
stamps. They
does.
will
I'm a
get
foster parent.
So is it
medical.
different in different states?
I
It
guess
might
so.
be
I know in
different in different
California,
states, but
I know in
I have.
California, they will give you food stamps for that child and they will pay you monthly and they will pay for their medical. That's in California though.
Here in Oklahoma, they go by your income because you have to be financially stable to be a foster parent. Then, according to the age, the most you're going to get per child is, I think, $678, and that's for the older ones. But if they
Wow.
can get, yeah,
No,
but then that income goes, so that's added onto your income, so you can't get food stamps on them.
okay,
They will,
that's not true. It
they
says
will still get their medical.
when
That is
applying
what,
for state-funded
may
medical
I finish?
behavioral
Let me
educational
finish one
services.
second.
Okay,
But if they can apply and get SSDI,
yeah,
then they will get that. But
okay.
then the state determines whether or not you get it or the child gets it.
Okay, so in Ohio, it states that the agencies only consider the child's income, not the foster parent's household income. They get stipends to cover basic needs. Medical care is covered through Medicaid, and they are provided financial food stamps and financial help. So in Ohio, that's how it works.
Yes,
They do
but
not consider the
that
foster parent's
that
income.
stipend that you're talking about, that is actually the payment to, they call the stipend. That's what the parents get, the foster parents get.
I understand. But that's a stipend, that's food stamps, that's then medical care as well for each child. This is the state saying that that's what they're expecting the care to be. I'm not making this up. That's them saying this is what they thought the care would cost a year for these 16 children.
I'm not
So
saying you're making it up. I'm just saying each state can be different.
right, well, but
Well,
this
I
is
know
them
in
saying
Southern
for their own.
California,
They
they
said
pay
it.
anywhere from 2,800 to 3,000 a month to be a foster parent.
Yeah,
Wait, what?
Yeah, they
in
What?
pay anywhere
California,
from
I believe
28
that.
to 3,000 a
Yeah,
month to be a foster parent.
I bet you in
And that
California you're
doesn't,
absolutely right.
that's not including the medical or the food stamps. That's why there's so many people that are foster
Yeah,
parents. They do it for the money.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I agree. Like, look at this. Look at the area. California's got money as opposed to a
True.
little town in Ohio, and you know what I mean. A lot of these smaller cities, counties, states.
yeah.
Hey, I hate to change the subject, but and I'm not trying to call you out, Chanel.
Yeah.
But she's asking if she can post a Amazon wish list, and I'm just curious on who is running the wish list and is it vetted? Because we got to be very careful with donating or GoFundMe's and stuff like that, just because
every true crime case, people are trying to raise money for the people, and it goes right into their pockets. So unless it's from the state or an actual agency that's trying to raise money for them, I would
do not
put that.
Would not post that.
No.
And
I can't get it.
No.
And I'm not trying to call anybody out because I know intentions are great,
good.
and I think it's sweet and everything. I just don't want anybody donating and it's going to someone else, the wish list.
I just don't want to be responsible, or my page or my to be responsible for people putting the money in the wrong place. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So Gary Jr., his court date for indecent exposure is the 23rd. Do you guys, is that,
I mean, what are we doing here?
is that sealed though? Is that going to be sealed because of the gag order or because
No.
it's a different thing? Okay.
No, the gag order isn't for public information. The gag order is on the state officials that made statements that they were not supposed to make, such as the pure evil, that there was not running water, there was not electricity. That's what the gag order covered, was these politicians and the governor, the mayor, whichever one.
Anybody related to the case is not allowed to talk about it publicly.
Yeah, publicly.
Okay, that's good to know because I'm just curious a little bit more on that indecent exposure. If it maybe and the same person turned him in, if it was a neighbor sick of seeing maybe some of the garbage. I'm
gonna say this though: if you saw that man pissing outside, sorry for the language, 4 times, then you saw kids.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it better not be someone who's like, I didn't know kids lived there, but you saw his pea tail come out of his pants.
Right.
Like,
and then with the way that the bathroom looked, were all of them, especially the boys, going outside?
Maybe they were all
Because
being outside, My grandson thinks it's the most hilarious thing. He
I
wants
know.
to go
I
out
didn't
there
even think
and
that was
no, you cannot.
illegal. I didn't even think that was illegal if you were on your own property.
No, it's not. But
as long as people don't see you.
As long as people don't see you. Yeah. So if you have a rural piece of property and it's a big part of land, like my grandson's father does, and so when he's there, he can just go outside and go pee. He can whip it out anywhere he wants. There's nobody going to see it. They own land, But in this case, if you're in the front yard and you're peeing in the front yard, then people are going to see,
Right, which is why I don't understand why he'd go in the front yard and not in the back.
Was there
or
a
even
fence?
the side.
I can't remember if there's a fence, guys.
No fence. There's no fence.
So even if he's in the backyard, somebody still could have seen him.
I don't think in the back because of all the brush, but I think in the front there's a road that goes right in front of his house.
Okay.
So
yeah, we don't even know if that was the case.
When he was little,
out for a mailman.
Yeah, my nephew when he was little, there was twice he got in trouble because he got off the school bus and just peed in a bush.
So someone in the chat asked what the opinion on Gary's relative. He's been on several lives. Which are we talking about, the brother-in-law to Gary, or are we talking about Linda, the sister to Gary? Because let me tell you, Linda, if you go down her rabbit hole of social media, did anybody see her struggle to gain weight? I wonder also if weight gain, and my sister had this problem. I had a sister. I wish I had the problem. And I don't say that lightly. I'm just being funny. But my sister couldn't gain weight. She still can't. But I know she has something where she can't gain weight. She's very thin. Did anybody see Linda? She's very, very tiny. I think she said she weighs 89 pounds.
Yeah, a lot of that could be due with
Is that the other
thyroid.
one that was married at 15?
No, I don't think that was Linda. Linda was the one who took a picture on the porch.
No. Okay. Because I know that one of the sisters was married off at 15 and she was pregnant. And then Gary Sr.'s
Hold
brother...
on, which sister was married off?
Oh, God, where was it? My notes!
That I didn't know about.
Okay.
Because Gary Jr. only has one sister, correct?
He has 4
Linda?
sisters.
Oh,
Gary
okay.
Jr.'s got 4 sisters.
Okay.
I didn't know about the other sister, if they're Gary's sister getting married off at 15.
Yeah, I found that in something yesterday, and I did a report on it.
It was in that news article that I sent you, Ivory, where it showed that, was it the grandmother that was married off at 15?
There
And
was yeah.
I think Elizabeth's mother was married at a young age, but I don't have the paper in front of me.
No. The Siders family, there's 3 of them. Okay, so there's Elizabeth, then there is Ronnie, who is Gary Sr.'s brother, and he married a girl named Tess when he was 48 and she was 14 and she was pregnant. And
Wait.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that.
That's true. Yes, it's true. She did.
Yeah.
What year was this?
Recent, wasn't it?
2002.
Yeah.
Ivory, we've got so much information, we can't keep it all straight.
That's my brain. I can't. I'm trying to organize it in a way that I can.
When you guys said recent in 2002, I'm thinking that's 24 years ago. That's not recent.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
but it's recent enough that it wasn't 1890. Why am I getting restricted lot visibility?
No, that and this is the thing. So 3 different marriages were approved with girls underage being pregnant. Yes, Gary Sider Jr.'s sister married off under similar circumstances as a child bride at 15 years old. So there's Tessie, who marries the Richard Siders. Then there's Elizabeth, and then there's Gary's sister, who is married off at 15 years old as well.
Yes, wow. 15, not 14.
15, yes. Wow. 14 was the Tessie one. 15 is Elizabeth. 15 is Gary Sider's sister.
So did they go over to West Virginia to get married?
I can't remember.
Did they go over to West Virginia to get married too? Because it's not legal in that state.
I don't know.
Possibly because West Virginia is extremely close, very, very close to. They're right on the border.
Okay, so the Tessie married Gary Siders Jr.'s uncle in Gallia County, Ohio, in 2002 at 14 years old, pregnant. Then Elizabeth.
Is that legal in that state?
That was before they changed the law.
Okay.
I think they changed the law in 2003 or 2004.
Oh. Someone just said the Appalachian area, it's not uncommon. It seems that it's not uncommon because everyone seems to be just getting rid of their kids at young ages to go off and be adults prematurely.
Okay. Ohio officially banned marriage for anyone under the age of 17 in 2019. But let me see.
Oh, I was way off. 2019.
Yeah, that's
more recent.
So wait a minute. So they got married. When did Elizabeth marry him again? God darn it, there's a lot here. 2008.
Elizabeth married in 2008.
Yeah. 2008. Maybe there was something that changed then.
Wow.
I thought there had been something in Ohio changed prior to that.
You know, I feel like, is this not a red flag that we got to change something in this country?
Absolutely.
If the government is saying you're an adult at 18, then period, you're an adult at 18. There's no, if my mom says I'm good enough to be an adult, because people are just dropping their kids off on husbands, on men. You want to?
I don't think 18 should be a legal adult, honestly.
Do you think the reason they were getting rid of the kids at that time and letting them get married because them themselves couldn't afford to raise them?
Yeah, I think that too.
And again, I keep seeing that this area, you know, the entire area is poverty stricken, right? It makes sense. It doesn't make it right though.
No.
Oh, how cute. Look.
Thank you.
I love those
so
things.
if they were pregnant and under the age of 16, 15. Okay, so 50 at 15, if you were 15, you could get married if you were pregnant, but you had to have parental consent and judicial approval. So if a court judge didn't approve it, then you couldn't do it. So maybe in 2008, because they originally said that she refused to sign the papers. So maybe that was her bargaining chip of, I'm not signing them, and if I don't sign them, then you can't do it. And then they apparently, according to what they've said, is they threatened her that they would take her away. And so maybe that's why they had to go over the county line.
You know, I don't know what it is in Ohio, but I know here in the state of Virginia, if a minor gets pregnant, it's the parent's responsibility to take care of that child until they're 18.
Yeah, same in California.
So if it's like that in Ohio, then it makes sense. Like, look, I can't afford to raise another one, like go off, get married. These kids are being thrown out there into heads of families I had one who was 16 still collecting Pokemon. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
Man, that's why. I was pregnant at 18 and I wasn't grown enough. Let me just tell you. Like, I had no idea what the world was going to be like with a child and a marriage. And
okay, so no, in Ohio they aren't financially responsible for the grandchild.
Oh, they're not.
No.
The minor is.
Right, the minor is.
Wow, that's wild too.
I mean, if you think about it, 18 still has the word teen in it. You're still a teenager.
Tell me why you can sign up for the government at 18 and go put yourself on a front line, but you can't have a beer while you're doing it.
Right.
You can't be responsible to have a drink at 18, then you should be responsible to making life-altering decisions at that age. Marriage and having children, right? You need to figure out. 21, I would barely say that's old enough.
Well, your frontal lobe doesn't even fully develop till you're 25.
15, you have babies and you haven't even hit your growth spurt yet.
Yeah.
I mean, you were maybe 2 or 3 years and just becoming a woman, you know?
Yeah.
My aunt, my grandpa was so mad. She got pregnant, and back then you had to get married. Basically, it was like the 60s, early 70s, and she was 15 when she got married, and she was crazy because of that. Basically, like, very toxic marriage. They stayed together, substance abuse, stuff like that. And I truly believe it's because she had a child so young in marriage. She felt trapped.
Well, yeah, that's when you are trapped, right? Like, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine being married at 15 with a kid.
No.
Well, my mother-in-law, she was married at 15. She's a great mom.
Was 16, yeah.
Yeah, and
16.
but she didn't have a mother. Her mother she was born in a prison. So it was kind of like she was on her own already anyways.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I can't imagine my son at 18 years old being a father and a husband, the provider, the head of the house. Like, at 18 years old, like, I was still yelling at him for fighting with his sisters. Like, at 18 years old, I was, I can't imagine why parents would think that was okay, unless it was just to get the load off.
Right. They just didn't want to be bothered. We don't know. I mean, you got to think about it. Teenagers are teenagers. They're so hormonal. They're so moody, male or female. Raising teenagers is hard, and a lot of parents can't hang. They can't deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, and also, it seems like in that area, it's kind of old school, right? So everybody's getting married at a young age, and I think possibly if you get pregnant, you better marry the father of that child.
People keep saying in that area that's normal, but how did that become a norm, a social norm for that area?
I think it's just generations. It's been around for so many generations that's the normal for them.
Yeah, my mom, even when I got pregnant at 24, she was like, "You better marry him." And I'm like, "No." No,
Yeah.
because what if, but her and my dad had that thought. And I'm like, "Yeah, because you guys got married. That was real great, because you got pregnant, mom, like that."
Yeah,
No.
no, that happened with me. I got pregnant at 18, got married at 19 because my mom said or my grandmother said that I needed to make it right in the Lord's eyes and I couldn't have a bastard child. That's what
Yeah,
I
I
was
know
told by
religiously
my
too. It's a
mother and
big.
grandmother.
I know religiously it's a big thing. I was told, you're pregnant, then you have to get married. Yeah. Wild.
And then I
That's
ended up
cool.
divorcing him because I was never in love with him. Never in love with him. I was just stupid and immature and wasn't thinking. And I got pregnant. And that was my life for the next 12 years. And then I divorced him at 29 because I just did it because I was told, not because I wanted to.
Does
Yeah,
anybody have a copy of Elizabeth and Gary's marriage certificate?
I do somewhere.
Can you look on it and see if her
Oh,
mother's,
it's on
I
my
thought I
phone.
had it somewhere, if her mother's last name was different at the
Oh,
time?
it's on my phone. I can't find it. Does anybody else have it?
See, I
Fancy,
can't
do you have
either.
it?
I don't have it.
I don't have it, so if anybody does
No.
have it, somebody please send it to me.
I can send it to you, but I
Cheryl
can't
B,
get
are
off
you
of it.
I
Cheryl
thought
B,
I
are you
had
in
it,
the
but I can't
chat?
look on my phone.
Do you have it, Cheryl? She's a wealth of knowledge.
I bet Cheryl does have it. But I feel like somebody was saying, or I seen that the mother's last name was not Russell at the time. I feel like somebody else had signed that,
Oh, I don't know.
or that her name was different.
I don't know.
And I just want to verify it.
Yeah, because it was Judge Nibbert that signed it. Remember, we were going through
Yeah.
it. I don't remember the name. I don't remember what her name was on it.
I don't remember. Shoot. I can't look while I'm on here. So
I don't know. This is all crazy. You heard it was different? I haven't seen it. I mean, I didn't pay attention to it. The mother's last name used to be Rains. That's possible that it was on there.
That
But I heard she was
sounds.
married for like 30 years, wasn't she? Didn't Elizabeth's mother also got married? Joey said at a young age.
At 15, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he said his dad was also 15.
but that's what I'm
Yeah.
that's what I'm wanting to know. If they were so young when they got married, they already had Elizabeth, so their name would have been Russell. Why would it have been signed in a different name?
I don't know. Her brother said on a live that his parents were both 15 when they got married. And she was, I believe, pregnant at the time she got married.
These kids are walking around marrying each other at 50. That's wild. That's wild to me. I can't.
I know
can't
my
even-
son, he's 14, and
So
I can't.
well, okay, if you look at the time period of the parents, okay, of Elizabeth, you could justify that age group, honestly. I mean, that my mother-in-law was married at 16, had babies at 17, and the whole thing like that, and they planned that. That's what they did, so, there's that. But I mean, that kind of stopped as we got into our generation and younger generations. But in rural areas like this Appalachian area, that's not the case. I mean, people still get married at 15, 16 years old. You grow up faster in these types of situations because you're already working on farms and you're already whatever, and all the different things. And so, and families become expensive. And so marrying your daughter off at 15 to another person, that takes a burden off of you, I mean, there's a lot to consider when you're judging. Why did a person get married at this age? When did it happen? What were the circumstances? I mean, so there's a lot. This could just be this specific area. That's just what they do. Who knows?
Right, it's generational.
That's what I'm gathering.
I
It's
mean, because it's
generational.
generational down on the bayou. We all learned that, it's
Right.
generational down there on the bayou. We learned that. And Appalachia, I'm telling you, it's different. Everything is different in that area.
I know. I see a lot of people from there saying it's a norm around here. It's
Yeah.
My friend who's from there, her husband had a baby at 14. And so
Yeah.
I didn't
But you
even.
also have to think the education and stuff isn't great for them. They're, the poverty. There's not much to do in those small towns, but get in trouble and do things you're not supposed to.
Drink and have sex, right? Like,
Right.
like that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all the options are when it comes to small towns. When you're in a big
Yeah.
city, there's more to do. There's more stuff to stay out of trouble,
Yeah.
I guess.
that's wild.
Well, you think about it, them boys that went in that house not once but twice and videoed.
They went in twice.
Yeah, the first video was the one that they did too, and then they went in a second time to show that there was running water in that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the same person that videoed. And he didn't cover up his tattoos or nothing.
The only reason I thought it was someone different was because the first person who went into video, it was a woman with painted nails and flip flops on.
Well, that was, yeah, but then there was another one that came out after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second one was the one with the painted toenails and the thing, but it could be a girl with them, or you know what I mean?
Possible, yeah. Because he said this is the second time we've been in here, so we're gonna, record the refrigerator and the running water. And nobody did anything.
You have to wonder if maybe the neighbors ain't lying because you didn't see somebody in that house that shouldn't have been there. Nobody noticed somebody was wandering around that house.
Okay, so I just got some information about the wish list too. It is organized, but just some random person on the family crime page, the Siders family crime page, and they just said that they're going to send the stuff to the address that they gave out. So yeah, I would not be promoting that, guys.
Yeah, I'm always very careful with trying to. Well, we know what's going down in the true crime community lately. Listen, ain't no one's GoFundMe coming up here. Ain't no one's Amazon wish list coming up here. Listen, okay, I'm just saying. I'm very careful with that because we know how that goes. And so,
hey, you guys, you want to donate to my child's birthday and back to school? I'm just kidding. I'm
really listen, if you're just going to put it up there and you're not asking for anything on your own thing, that's your own business. But I'm really careful putting it out there because I feel like then I'm responsible. You know what I mean?
The only legit one that's out there is up at the DHS office. They have one put up for the kids.
Yeah.
And I recommend everybody quit sending packages to Elizabeth.
I was just going to say that. Is it true she's really giving her packages away?
Yes.
Well, think about the fact that she's getting them in the first place. Already you're treating her like a victim when she may not be.
Right. Exactly.
It's guys, just be careful,
Well, maybe she's giving it away because she's overwhelmed with everything and she can't use it all. Who knows? But if she doesn't view herself as a victim, we can't view her as a victim.
If you're going to spend something, send it to the children.
Agreed.
Or send it to a women's shelter for family and women that are abused. I thought that
prevention for this happening to someone else.
Yes, if you want to advocate, she's already in jail. She's getting her meals and whatever. Do it to somebody who's actually in need right now.
Because even if she was a victim, I'm sorry, to whatever extent, she's still responsible, guys. Just keep that in mind.
And here's
like
another
Trisha just
thing.
said, she's living better in there than she was out here because she's fully being taken care of. She's gotten, I heard on a live that she's gotten so much commissary and money on her books that she's set for a long time.
Here's another thing. If you guys really want to help out and you want to make sure it's going to the children, you can actually call CPS and tell them that you want to adopt a child out of that family. That caseworker that caseworker will get a hold of you and tell you exactly what that child needs. They will give you an address to send it to. And when they go visit, they will make sure that that child gets exactly what you sent them.
Let me
Yeah.
just put a warning out there for everybody in the chat. Listen, guys, it's 2026. All right, we're all struggling economically, right? The economy's in shambles. Everybody works for their dollars, right? And I never have to collect money from you to donate to a cause. You can all donate yourself. I can sit here and
Agreed.
suggest it. We can talk about it, but you should never say there's no third person needed. You never
Agreed.
need to send me money to go donate. Now you guys have gifted for donations and you guys have watched me show the receipt and match it. And you know what I mean? You guys watched that firsthand. That's a little different because I used the gift money that you guys sent me. But I wish no creator should ever say, you guys, you want to donate, you should donate, send it to me and I'll send it to them. There is
Yeah.
no third party interaction ever needed. How about if I'm a good content creator, I will tell you where to go if you want to donate.
Right, like a GoFundMe that's directly set up in their name, and you're not a trustee type of thing on it.
Yeah. Or like She-Shed just said, like, maybe She-Shed can find the number and we can get the number for you guys if you want to call the local department and see what you guys can do. But you should never send money to me to transact to go send to them. That's just being, be very careful. I care about you guys. I care about me. You guys all work for your money. You know what I mean? Things are appreciated, gifts. I get it's TikTok, but you should never be sending me your hard-earned cash and trusting me that I'm going to do what's right with it. You should trust nobody, not even me.
I totally agree, Ivory. Totally
I have a
agree.
question, ladies, off topic. We know that maybe they took in 4 kids max together, so we know these babies are split up. They're in different homes. My question is, do you think they're going to go out of different counties to put these babies in homes?
I can guarantee you that they are not going to be in that same county because they're not going to want anybody to have access to them. So they will move them, yes, to different counties.
Okay, yeah, I thought so.
And that's so sad because now these kids, there's nobody going to be able to take in 16 kids with health problems and everything. These kids are going to be split up. They may never see their siblings again.
No, that's not true.
Reunify with their families. This can be a very bad situation all the way around.
It's very traumatizing.
Let me tell you what
these kids are
happens when they're
traumatized.
separated like that. Let's just say they're divided up between 5 homes, right? Those caseworkers, there will be 5 different caseworkers for each home. So there's 1 caseworker per home. They will get together once a month and they will either meet at a park or they will meet at one person's house. They will go to birthday parties for each child, and those caseworkers make sure that they get where they need to go in the foster
But that
care.
doesn't happen always, She-Shed.
Okay. And me being a foster parent, it happens here in Oklahoma.
Okay, but I'm saying we know by cases of other cases that doesn't always happen. Oftentimes the kids are separated. Oftentimes they don't see each other growing up. It's just because it's your experience doesn't mean it's everyone's experience.
Well, it happens if they adopt those kids, then no. But as long as they're in DHS custody and they're not adopted, then it's their responsibility to make sure the siblings see each other. So maybe I should have worded it that way.
It just doesn't always happen. That's all.
I can't imagine all of my kids being such a large group being split up. Like, I can't imagine. That's really sad.
Yeah.
Like, the lives that are being ruined, the relationships and the future relationships and, the dependency on each other that's being ruined for the future. It's so sad.
It is. It's there's no good outcome of this. Like, there's just not.
I think of the older kids. I think of the younger ones, but I really think of the older ones and their mental health for the rest of their lives experiencing, this.
Yeah.
And, the trauma and stuff. So I definitely feel it's just such a sad situation. And for me, if some of these kids are special needs, that breaks my heart. It really does break my heart, because early intervention,
They
and stuff
miss
like
all
that.
the foundation of.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that they can get into some help, whether it's speech therapy, occupational, ABA, or whatever the case may be. That they are okay. And it worries me how many of these children are special needs, and are there foster families that are capable of the care that some of these kids are. They going to be bounced around from foster home to foster home because the parent maybe not be able to handle it.
You guys remember the Turpin kids, right? Like, not all foster parents are she sheds. You know what I mean? It's like not everybody is doing this for the right intentions.
A lot of them do it for the money.
The Turpins got screwed twice.
Yeah.
Those children went from a really bad situation, saved from that situation, and placed right into another bad situation.
Right.
It's just, man, it's just so sad.
And it's just so traumatizing, for these kids. Like, this is something that's going to affect them for the rest of their life. Not only what the life that they lived before this, but this that's actually happening. Especially, it comes to babies, if they're super attached to their mom, and their dad, they probably aren't sleeping. They're probably screaming and crying.
That's really sad.
Well, and just imagine, say these kids have only ate so little and now they're in a foster home and the foster parents are like, no, you got to finish the plate of food. And they're like, I can't.
Our bellies cannot.
And then they get in trouble and they don't understand. Like, I didn't have food and now I have food, or maybe my stomach doesn't tolerate the stuff that you're giving me. So it's going to be a lot of adjustment for them.
And that with bathing too. Bathing, if they weren't bathed on a regular basis and they're not used to water, traumatized. Yeah, water. Yeah, I don't know if it was a movie or a documentary, but the little boy wasn't bathed. And so when they would put him in the bathtub, he would freak out the minute he touched water because he had never, really been bathed before.
Yeah. Just remember, regardless of, could people have been victims, Gary and Elizabeth, and victims of their own, situations possibly, but ultimately the victims at the end of the day are those kids. So if you want to sit there and tell a story about victimization and victimhood, then make sure you mention the kids instead of trying to create a situation where, people are just victims when they may not be. Just remember, there really are victims. We don't need to create stories for those victims.
Exactly. Those babies are the main priority in this. We all can, say our theories about what we think could have been. But most importantly, like, these babies, like, they deserve the privacy. They deserve the respect and the boundaries because they didn't ask for any of this to begin with,
Yeah.
I think my issue with this whole thing, when I pop into other lives, and it's no offense to anybody or anything like that, but they have their theory, which is fine, but they are not open to all theories and all avenues of what could be and breaking it down. Like, is this possible? Again, theory and speculation. Another issue I have is people saying this is a fact when we don't know it's a fact. Yeah. And that's doing a disservice to these kids because this is their story that you are putting out and advocating for. In the end, this is advocation for poverty and how did this happen? How did they get, the state not know? And it went on for this amount of time. We got to be factual, put some emotions aside.
Responsible. With what we're saying. And remember, ultimately, at the end of the day, right, we want to find out what happened in the situation, but we also want to bring awareness to the situation. Like, this is happening over here in Ohio. It's the norm for these people. I mean, not necessarily the neglect, but the situation that may have created the neglect. Bring an awareness. There's so much more you can do with your voice than creating stories that may not exist. Again, awareness of the poverty in the area, the lack of resources in the area. You know what I mean? That's prevention from this happening to another family. You know what I mean? Like, that's just as important as coming up with what happened.
And I'm wondering if this is what is going to jolt some of Ohio to change maybe some laws from family child services.
Yeah, there have been,
and that's what I'm hoping
different
for.
laws that are being proposed. I covered that the other day too. Some different things that they're asking for to be changed. Some of them are outrageous, but some of them are really good ideas too. Yeah.
I think in those type of areas, like, you know how we have a neighborhood watch? I don't know. I mean, it's a thing in the past. We don't really have those signs on our neighborhoods anymore. But I do think that it's our responsibility to really keep our eyes out, you know, to really kind of not be nosy, but just to pay attention to the surroundings, you know, and
let people know you're there. Let your neighbor know you're here.
Exactly.
Like,
it goes back to humanity and just, you know what I mean?
That's like us. We got an autism at play sign in front of our home because we want our neighbors to know. And we've talked to them. If you see a little blonde boy running around, he is nonverbal and he has no social awareness. So he's not going to come when you say, hey, and stuff like that. But he lives here. He should not be outside alone. Bring him here. And if you see him, there's a problem out by himself, you know.
Another thing, if there's foster parents in here and they're interested in fostering those children, they can request it. It's a coordination through, I think it's legal process. I think it's called Interstate Compact. So if there's foster parents in here, you know, because we don't know if all those kids are actually in foster homes.
Yeah, they could be in group homes.
No, some could be in group homes. I think some are in hospital too.
Yeah, the older kids may have gone to like a group home, you know, together. And then the other ones that really need medical care, I think they went into specialized fostering. But yeah, I don't know.
Because some of them might still be in the office. You never know.
True, they do sleep in the office if there's no availability for them, which is so heartbreaking. Like, this may be even more traumatic than the situation they're in before. They're probably scared
because it's not their norm, right? Like, they were, whether it was disgusting or dangerous, it was what they knew. It was what they knew. It was home, regardless of the conditions.
Yeah. Imagine being ripped out of, like, that'd be like someone like us being pulled away and put in like a third world country almost. You have to adjust to it's so much. This is just so new to them. I pray for them every night. This is just so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. Man, I don't know. But I think, guys, I'm going to end this live now. I'm going to go down my rabbit hole and continue seeing what I can find. If you guys aren't doing anything later on tonight, maybe I'll pop back on here. But yeah, I just wanted to
Thank you for letting me up, Ivory.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, guys. Have a good night.
Talk to you later, Ivory.
Sam, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Everybody in the chat, thank you.
Thank you.
All my mods, I appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.